Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Pylon Show. This is episode number 84. I am Artosis, and these are my wonderful guests, all people that have been on this show many times. First off, we have Maynard. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right, man. Jet lagged. I'm disgustingly tired. I'm kind of want to go to sleep and make the whole world go away. But
yeah,
but I'm here for the show because I love the show. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming. I wasn't sure if you would be back in Australia on time, but here
Just
you
barely.
are.
Just barely.
Just barely in time for Thursday.
Yeah, I've had a couple
And,
streams since I've gotten home as well, so it's been a day and a bit.
Damn, very nice. You are keeping on the grind. And
That's it.
Roddy, what time is it there, buddy? Why are you?
3 a.m. I don't know why I'm here. It's because whenever you guys ask me, I always say yes. I've never said no.
I know. I feel bad asking you too. Like each time I'm like, I do have to ask Roddy. He's always good for a show like this. And then you're always like, oh, what time is it at, mate? It's like 3 a.m. here. And I have someone give you the time and then you say yes. And I'm expecting a no, but you're a good man. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun. Obviously, a lot to talk about. In the old days, this wouldn't actually be that much of an issue because I used to really be like a warrior of the night and I'd just be up all night. But I actually got to bed somewhat early these days. So now it's like I have a good old 3 hours sleep, 3.5, 4 hours, and then the alarm clock goes. And I feel like I'm in high school one moment. I'm like, oh no, I'm too tired. I played too many video games last night. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, it's just a pilot show. Like, okay, like we can do this. Now I'm good and excited to be here as always.
Yeah, thanks for coming. And Fear Dragon, of course. How are you doing, my friend? You've been making a lot of cool gadgets lately.
Yeah, doing good. Little jet lagged. Had some travel time between my bed and here after the IEM Katowice C stream and everything. But the 5-second commute, it wears on me. I know people like Maynard and stuff won't really understand what it's like to actually have to travel for events, but I'm hanging in there.
All right. Well, I'm glad that you could make it. I know this is really the toughest for you of all people.
Oh yeah, of course.
Just keep pushing on, dude. You'll make it. You'll make it. Just keep pushing.
My God, we're gonna
we'll
finish
carry
between lunch and dinner.
Sleepy, we'll carry. It's okay.
All right. So on this episode, just a little roadmap. We're gonna, of course, do this week in Starcraft, and then talk about IEM Katowice and what went on there. And maybe towards the end of that, we could just give a little nod towards what has been occurring lately as far as these posts on Reddit about racial balance at the end of tournaments. We can talk about that later. Though.
I can't fucking wait.
Which one of the 87?
Yeah. So let me go ahead and just shout out our sponsors real quick. First off, the Patreon. This is how the show is really funded. Check out patreon.com/the Pylon Show. This is it's really why the show runs. Thank you everyone for supporting it. And of course, if you do support at that $5 tier, you get to ask questions, the Patreon questions for the end of the show. So definitely check that out once again at patreon.com/the Pylon Show. And of course, we do have the pylonshow.com. That's where you will drop your questions for us if you want to ask any and you're a supporter. Of course, it also has everything, the show notes, the VODs, the links to the podcast downloads and all of that. And then we have our Matcherino page, matcherino.com/the Pylon Show, where you can contribute to the prize pool just by typing in the word celery. Now, this might be a surprise to you. It's a surprise to me, but celery only has one L. So go ahead, type that in, and you'll be good.
That's a great selling point.
Yeah. One less L than you probably thought you had to type. I think that might make the difference for most people.
I don't think anyone else has that problem, but go on.
No, you don't think so?
No. Nope.
All right.
Okay.
Those are the ways that you can support the Pylon Show. So please go right ahead and do that. Let's go ahead, jump into This Week in Starcraft. Of course, you can check this out anywhere that you're watching or listening to this. We'll have links to it in case anything I said struck your fancy and you want to look more into it. Okay, jumping down to page 4. As always, we have the Esl Open Cups that are coming up. You can see not too many players signed up as of yet, but if you are interested, please do. Roddy, you've been playing some of those, huh?
Yeah. Mostly the European one. To be honest, like NA is kind of odd because I don't know what it is with my connection to NA, but sometimes it's fine, and then some days it's just like, okay, it actually doesn't feel fine. And if you're then playing a tournament, like you don't want to make excuses, but if you really feel like you're playing handicapped, and then at that point kind of takes the fun away. But the European one, I pretty much always play, no matter like what shape I'm in. It's just fun, right? It's good for the scene, that kind of stuff. And once in a blue moon, you get a good victory, so you can feel proud of yourself. And then you walk around with a smile on your face, and then you get clemmed the next round, and you don't kill a unit, but it's all good.
That's all right. It's the effort that counts. So guys, go ahead, sign up for the ESL Open Cups. Again, like Roddy said, helps the scene, and it's a lot of fun. All right, we also have the Starcraft Artificial Intelligent Tournament cast. The finals are Beta Star against Purple Wave, both Protoss, or ZNZZ bot, also Protoss. Uh-oh. Are all the bots Protoss bots? Seems so.
What does it mean?
Means what we've all known so long. Check it out, guys, if you are interested. Cast by Sanko, who's been on the show before. We also have the Russian Pro League. It looks like DeWalt versus SPX in the finals, two of the absolute best in the non-Korean Brood War scene, with the third, fourth place match, Gorinich against TTF, both very strong players as well. You can check that out over on twitch.tv/GG_silver. We also have the ASL Season 9. We finished up the round of 24. So this week we'll be having the group selection phase. We had a big upset in Group F. Group F was the best group of the tournament. So if you haven't watched any ASL yet and you don't have time for a lot of it, check out Group F. Barracks taking that home was absolutely a huge surprise and upset and a lot of fun. All right, this week in StarCraft. I love this quote. What's your favorite strategy? Protoss don't need a strategy. Yeah, I could see that in his games against Maru, too. I'm like, yeah, no, nothing you do matters here. But we'll talk more about those Katowice games coming up here. ESL Cup Korea. We had Hero, like as in the liquid Hero, take down True in the finals 3-0. That's pretty sick. In the top four, we also had Nice and Cham. Congrats to all. In the European Cup, we had Hero Marine. Once again, how many cups is this guy going to win? Holy shit. 3-2 over Petit Drogo.
We actually call it Big Game Weekly. Like, that's just
I know, really. It just keeps happening. That's so crazy. Yeah, you beat Clem in the round of 4, TLO in the round of 8, Drogo in the finals there. Well, congrats to Hero Marine. It's going to be the first player to qualify for the World Championships off of ESL Cups. We also had the NA Cup, where Skilless took down Petit Drogo. Drogo, 2 finals in a week. Very nicely done. 2-0 there in the finals. Looks like Nina and Scarlet both making the top 4. Congrats to all. Olimo League. We had number 183. Trap ended up winning it 3-0 over Creator. Zest made top 4, and Dynamite, one of our up-and-coming Terran players from Korea. We have a few up-and-coming players this year. I'm very excited about it.
By the way, Dan, why did Skilless only have 2-0 over Drogo? Did Drogo give up after 2 games, or like what happened? Why does it say 2-0 everywhere and not 3-0?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, actually.
Okay.
Maybe he did give up or something.
Yeah, maybe he was super tired because he got 2 second places and then he's like down 2-0, and maybe Drogo just kind of snapped. Because normally, like if it was actually 3-0, it would say 3-0 somewhere, but it literally says 2-0 everywhere. So I guess Drogo didn't play it up.
Well, I could see the end of the NA Cup. Huh?
He answers in the chat, is the Skills and Drogo got sleepy and agreed to a best of 3.
Yeah, that definitely happens sometimes.
Well, it makes sense. They're both from Europe playing at the NA Cup. So, yeah, it's a good way to do it. I think a lot of people have done that in tournaments where the final result, they just want it over with. All right, Olimo League, we already talked about. Let's go ahead down to the Wardy TV at Team League Season 9. Fantastic 5 versus Team Liquid. Looks like Fantastic 5 ended up winning. LP defeated Roddy Boys 4-3.
Whoa.
Roddy, what happened?
I mean, I played that game a while ago. I was actually kind of sad because I played pretty bad. I mean, I played a very tough opponent. I think it was like, did I play Impact or something? It's like, yeah.
Oh, damn.
Like, that was always going to be very tough. I don't know. We tried. It was actually fun. Like I like the guys that I was playing with, but yeah, I kind of sucked. I just couldn't really. It's so tough, man. Because like I was actually like in pretty good shape when I was playing those games, but it's just like you keep playing guys that are just like that little bit better, and it's just like it's like it feels like the gap is so big, and you're like, man, I tried so hard and couldn't even win a freaking game.
Well, Again, good effort, Roddy. It looks like you guys can support this team league on Wardy's Matcherino, so definitely check that out if you would like to unlock perks such as Hearthstone co-casting. The Kung Fu Cup 2019, number 7 is going to play on March 5th, which is tonight. It looks like it'll be cast by Creighton Olsen and Wardy, so check that out. We also have the Alpha X Junior Championships Season 4. It's going to begin in 9 days, and that is for players 15 years or younger who have never been 6K MMR. A lot of great up-and-coming players there. The English cast will be by Kozan. We have Battle of the Americas, where Cham took out Pure Legacy. I think we had that one last week, actually, so we'll skip over. The Grand Platypus Open, we had Gogo Joey over Justice Simon, 3-2 in the finals. Congrats to him. You can check that out on Cranky Ducklings. We have the Sheer Shoddy Open, where Chance took out Cham 3-1. I tell you what, Cham is like busy nowadays. I feel like every tournament he's top 4, every single one I report on each week. So congrats to Chance. Chance is a very strong, I guess you can call him amateur Korean Protoss, even though he played several years ago in like the Pro League stuff. But just a shout out for him. He's a really nice guy and looking for a team right now. So if you're looking for a high level Korean Protoss that might break out in GSL this year, that could be the guy. The CEA, Corporate Esports Association, looks like one of the round 1 is done. You can go ahead and check this out if you want to see some of the programmers and employees and all these people from really big companies duke it out. CEA.gg. We also have the Collegiate Series from CEA, Corporate Esports Association, that has that giant prize pool helped fund by Toby of Shopify. And 77 players did battle. Full Heart, Nigel, Peely Peely, AJC, and Silky making the top 5. It's always funny to see these like legit pros actually.
Kane's in there too, actually.
It's like, oh, you're technically in college. Damn, you're gonna wreck this.
Yeah.
Who else
been
is
cool
in
to
there?
see Kane too. Kane?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's
Cool.
2 names under Riser, I think. Yeah.
He 3-0'd a guy called G'day. Australian.
Nice.
This league is pretty sick because there's like a nice mix of actually like legit NA talent, and then there's also like Gold League players and stuff that unfortunately the first week kind of get rolled, but then like 2-3 weeks in, we get Swiss format and they actually start playing against each other. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, actually, I see some big names in here. I see Masa in there. I see Starkiller in there. Oh, that's some legit people. So you're actually the one casting it, right, Fear Dragon?
Yeah, and actually the corporate games, I'm also casting those as well. So basically, it's just like on Saturdays now, we just do like 2 corporate games, which is called the Championship Series, and then 2 Collegiate Series.
Nice.
Did Masa actually play? Because it said he got 3-0'd. That seems unlikely.
He must have not shown up.
Yeah.
Look, Roddy, I don't know if you've seen Reddit lately, but Terran is severely underpowered right now.
Yeah, turns out a cool guy actually does play Protoss. He's a 4800 MMR barcode, and he was just a little too much to handle, guys.
I think
he charged all ins 3 games in a row. This is like, oh, okay. Well.
I see that the Diaxis is there as well. He's good. He can do well.
Yeah. All right, excellent. Well, check out Fear Dragon's channel if you want to take part in the CEA casts. We also have Liga Cubana de Starcraft 2. Immolations defeated Pocholo 2-0 in the finals, a couple Zerg players. By the way, we had a little chat last week on the show about the hidden Cuban scene within StarCraft 1. It like came up somehow. I don't know if it's going to be in the show notes this week. But actually, I have info for people who are interested in that. This week, I hit someone on the ladder called Cuban Bisu. He cheesed me really hard, and I beat him. But then also I talked to Eon Zerg, who is Belgian, but actually of Cuban descent. And he said he went to Cuba on vacation recently and played against some of the Cuban players, and they are not good enough to beat Flash. So people were wondering about that. Just wanted to throw that out there. I've done the homework on it, and yeah, that's the truth of the situation. They are not better than the Koreans in StarCraft. All right, moving forward. 2020 NA Apprentice Season 2. Fear Dragon, are you involved in this?
No, unfortunately. No? I got busy, and now it's been taken over.
All right. Well,
I'm sad.
I guess I have to read it then. Vindicta, Warren, Jon Snow, Dolan, J. Hefe, Full Heart, Hijacks, E.T. Pono, my favorite ID still. I love Oof, Last Surprise, Riser, White Shadow, Holden, Melty, and Geeth all have advanced and qualified for it. If you are interested, do check it out, all the up-and-coming NA players. All right, we also have Swagger Cup number 2. This is from Swag Syndrome _ on Twitter. On March 7th, it is going to play out. It looks like first place $100, second place 50. We have Parting, Bernie, Queen, Captain Canuck, and Oral Rock. I feel like Parting might be able to take this one down.
I
think he's.
I have a sneaking suspicion.
Yeah, I think he probably will just kill everyone with cannons in this tournament. But if you want to check it out, please go right ahead and you can check out Swag Syndrome on Twitter. All right, Pizza Pie Biweekly Season 3. Future 3-2 over Star Killer. Ooh, there's a bit of a rivalry between these two on pizzas right now. 13 pizzas for Future.
Pretty sick.
Catching up.
Yeah. Slowly, but
coronavirus, can't leave the house anymore. Got to get a pizza delivered.
This might become the most competitive tournament in the world.
Literally a fight for resources, Dan.
Yeah. All right, congrats to Future for winning his pizza. All right, the Bald Guy Classic number 2, organized by Creighton Olson. The Bald Guy is back. He's got a tourney with a twist. Everybody's playing random, so this tourney can't be missed. Look at that. He's dropping the rhymes. He's using his memes. Check it out. March 9th, he'll be running this tournament. All right, we also have Mapper's Delight number 2, organized by Creighton Olson once again, Saturday, March 21st. It's showing a lot of the new maps in the map maker scene. So check it out. You can join on the 21st, which is a Saturday. Join Mapper's Delight on the NA server. All right, Africa World 2 vs. 2. The previous champions, BC Cutie and Max Pax, return. And they will be going up against Clem Skillis, Euthermal Goblin, and Kelliger Denver. And there is a new way that you can support this. If you subscribe to Wardy, it adds 25 cents to the prize pool, or use the code AW54. Excellent. It's cast by Falcon, Paladin, and Laughing Games, so I'm not exactly sure what Wardy has to do with this, but there you go. You can help the scene and help this tournament.
When there's no more offline tournaments because of coronavirus, Wardy will be the last hope for StarCraft 2. So
has situated himself so well for this moment.
It's very important to keep that channel alive.
All right. We also have the Alpha Pro Series Ultimate Showdown, March 6th through 8th. Dream, Sort of, Zound, True, Creator, Sue, Estrella, Dynamite. Some really strong players going up against each other. This will be on Africa TV. So check that out. That's going to be, again, March 6th through 8th. All right, we have the Alpha Pro Series. Zound versus Cure. This is going to take place today. So Zound, a very strong up-and-coming Protoss in Korea, going up against Cure, one of the best Terrans. It'll be on at 5 p.m. tonight. That is about 6 hours from right now. We also have the TLNet Map Contest 14. Due to some unforeseen issues with the spreadsheet used to count the votes, we'll now host the voting in our own internal polling system. Votes simply go here and expand the spoilers. All right, so voting is open until March 4th, which was yesterday. All right, well, it's closed now, guys. So I guess we're going to find out what maps we're going to be playing on pretty soon. All right, I hope you all voted. All right, this week in Brood War, the STPL continues forward. We have Soul Gaming against IRK, and then Valhalla team waiting the winner of White versus Net Wars. You can check that out over on STPL TV on Twitch. We also have the Castermuse Narok Star League Season 2. This is for all the top players who did not qualify for ASL this season. Looks like the first 3 groups are done. Oh, that's hilarious. One of the amateur Terran players decided to play random in this tournament and won the group. All right. That's pretty badass.
Clearly he rolled Protoss several times, right?
Well, we know he wasn't rolling Terran, right? Or
yeah, definitely.
Is that StarCraft 2, Hyun?
This StarCraft 2 Hyun? Hyun is playing StarCraft 1, yeah.
So in Group E, hey, that's kind of cool. Yep. I wonder how he does.
Yeah, he's pretty good right now, actually. He knocked One of the very best Zergs, I think it was Zero or Queen. He knocked him out of one of the qualifiers. So he's actually quite a high level right now. These are like the best players not in ASL basically at the moment.
He's
So
not
it's
the
like-
guy that you played, right?
I didn't play Hyun in a recent
When you
tournament.
thought you had a draw and you wanted.
No. I would never get so close having a draw with Hyun.
I gotta say that I have not seen that many Brood War clips in my life, but that is by far and away the favorite Brood War clip I've ever seen. The
I'm glad
timing of it was so good.
There's no
Man.
countdown timer for ties and Brood War, so I just wanted to know. I'm like, I don't want to sit here. Of course, he had to be as rude as fucking possible.
Show me your drone.
My
Like,
life.
I'll
Show me your
do
drones.
better.
You are not mine.
18 hydras show up.
We were having a bit of a chuckle at that in Poland.
Yes, we watched.
I
it
would
several
prefer,
times
yeah.
then.
God, I really would prefer for him to just show me a drone because I'll just leave the game instantly, right? Because I'm sitting there, I'm like, I still have a chance. This maybe I win. Maybe he went below 50 minerals when I left his base. Like,
I feel like showing you 10 hydras was just an extra kind of special though. If it was a
So
drone, then it
funny.
just wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been as cool.
right, you're right. My life. All right, if you want to check out Caster Muse's tournament, it's on Africa TV. We also have the Undermine podcast. There's no new episode this week, but they have a lot of AI news, so you can check all that out on makingcomputerdothings.com. Also, LA Land #2. This is happening in 2 days. It's very, very exciting, cool stuff. If you are in LA or in the area at the Africa TV PC Cafe, there's going to be a big Brood War tournament. And even if you're not a Brood War person, there's going to be a lot of Starcraft 2 people there as well. People have been telling me everyone in the area is very excited about it. So go check it out. The winner of the tournament will receive an ASL jacket, something that even Tasis and I can't seem to get the company that employs us to give us. So you're going to be very lucky to have such
You don't
a
have
cool
an
thing.
ASL jacket? Even I have an
No.
ASL jacket.
What the fuck is going on here?
Hold
Why
on.
don't I have, like,
I'm gonna go put on my ASL
Everyone's
jacket
walking
for the
around with
rest of
their
the show
ASL
now to rub it in
battery.
Dan's face.
their jackets, their
And
mouse pads?
I learned that
Oh.
Tasteless is really sick about stealing stuff from the.
That's true.
backstage
He
as
has
well,
some of
so
the
it's
mouse
actually
pads,
amazing.
man.
Yeah, like if it's not pinned down, like Tasteless was like, I remember the GSL versus the World. There was like all these team jackets for GSL versus the World. And Tasteless was like, I'm gonna take one of those on the way out. All those Team Korea coats.
My morals are too high. I can't do it. Anyways, check out the LA Land if you are in the area. We also have EPT points. Okay. So we actually have the point standing right now for the ESL Pro Tour. And that's just like a little list that we have in here, I think. Or yeah, I guess you can check it out for yourself.
Yep.
Where is Hero Marine? Look at Hero Marine here, sitting here with 122 points. What a badass. He's up in 23rd spot off of ESL Cups.
I could look, if he hadn't won those cups, man, he'd be like 30th.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
He's
that matters.
climbing.
That's eight spots.
Yeah, he's climbing up. And look at this. Fear Dragon showing off his ASL jacket.
No, hold on. Dan, I need you to guess who's my favorite Brood War player.
Oh, no.
I'm a Protoss player.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who's the dirtiest Protoss.
Well, okay, come on.
Who's the DT man? Is it Mini?
No, it's
Stork. Okay,
Stork.
that makes sense too.
Oh, that's a legit Protoss player.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
disappointing. I thought you'd like one of the douchey ones.
no.
Well,
those are
I've
so
seen
easy to
him
cheer
load
for.
DTs into a shuttle, so he's not too legit.
Mm.
All right. Moving on this week in Awesome. How much you enjoy watching TVZ, a statistical survey. Greetings, fellow StarCraft 2 viewers. If you would like to fill this out and help this guy out, it is actually on the TL.net forums. So go ahead and check that out. And okay, I guess that is actually it for this week in StarCraft. Yay.
That was quick.
Woo.
Yeah. Yeah, that was well, I think Katowice was really the big thing going on this week, so everything else kind of goes on hold a little bit. So it makes sense. But that is what we're here to talk about now. IEM Katowice and all the amazingness that went down. First off, I just kind of want to get your guys' like Fear Dragon, you did like the B stream, right?
C stream,
And
yeah.
then C, what's the difference between B and C?
Well, one letter in the
Less
alphabet.
priority.
Damn. Who was on the B stream?
Grant did
Grant.
actually a great job with the B stream.
Yeah.
You and Grant hate each other
until
now?
he tried to
Yeah,
shush
exactly.
his dog.
There was a moment there
Hmm.
where his apartment got destroyed by some fucking, I don't know if it's an Irish wolfhound or like a Saint Bernard or like a really jacked German Shepherd or something, but that dog fucking destroyed his room. We saw, we saw some after images, and also Grant, I know you're probably watching right now, or you watch the VODs, but that clip of your dog destroying your room was shared around a little bit at the backstage area for IEM, and not just on one day. This clip I think was brought up how many days in a row, Roddy? I think.
Every day, man.
Every day, yeah.
Every day. You know, the funny thing about this clip is that we always laughed. Every single time we left it. So after 2 days of watching the clip and like legit laughing every single time, we finally showed it to somebody else. And I think this person just kind of chuckled. And because we've seen it this many times, we weren't laughing that hard either. And then we hear Grant at the end of the video or clip, he's like, shit. And we're like, oh my God, there's a hidden gem in the video. We didn't even know.
We didn't hear it. He was always laughing over it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Mm.
So IEM Katowice. First off, I want to get your guys' impression. You know, obviously there was that last second announcement of no live audience. What was that? What was that like for you guys? And how did that change everything? I know you guys have done Katowice a bunch of times.
Well, do you want to go, Roddy, or I'll go? Or?
No, you can go first, mate.
Okay. I mean, obviously, it was a big punch in the balls for everyone there. It was just, you know, to me, Katowice is like, you know, as a hype commentator and just someone that loves working with the crowd in general, not having that crowd there at all, like not even a single person out there except for someone that works the event, was just, it was heartbreaking, man. I even like. It put kind of a dark, negative vibe cloud over my head for a couple of days. Like, you know, I'm not going to bring it out on broadcast, that's the thing, but just like afterwards, sitting down, having a whiskey post-event, post-day, like with everyone and just hanging out and talking about the day and decompressing is just, it hurt so bad. And it's like one of those things that IEM and ESL had zero to do with. They would have obviously have had a crowd in a heartbeat if they were allowed to do so. But it was something that the Polish, for everyone that's unaware, the Katowice governor decided to not allow a crowd for IEM Katowice because there's a giant congregation. He didn't want that to become ground zero. Apparently, there's something about like Kalaris is explaining that like a Polish election season's coming up, and no one really wants to. You know, if you're a political figure who is seen as the reason why ground zero of coronavirus starts in Poland, at this giant event, then that's political suicide. You're not going to be revoted. You know, so it makes sense. But IEM and ESL had obviously an extremely stressful couple of days trying to reach out to their partners. They had to, you know, there were all these pictures online of people that had gone there for CSGO and Counter-Strike, for CSGO and also Starcraft 2. There's a lot of people there. They were just like tweeting photos out of their hotel rooms and going, shit, you know, what do we do? Where do we go? Like, where do we drink? Where do we eat? That sort of thing. And I just felt so heartbroken because I can put myself in the shoes of what it would have felt like to be that guy that flies to Poland for like the biggest tournament of the year for my respective game, whether it be Counter-Strike or for Starcraft, and just be like, oh shit, you know, don't get to see it live. Like Katowice is an all right city, but it's not exactly like, you know, a throbbing hive of activity. They really all came together to look after each other, which was nice. And I have some like positive stories about the Starcraft community specifically that were there. But as far as like when that announcement dropped, it was like just a wave of just sadness of everyone, because it was just like, to me, it's like not even it's over 50% of the show to me is how sick that crowd is, because of how much I put stock into a great live crowd. Like a lot of people say, no, the games matter the most, the production matters the most. For me, it's like, yeah, that's a huge part of it for sure, but having that, you know, an actually vibrating arena of tens of thousands of people or just thousands of people shaking the place down and going ham for their favorite plays or their favorite players is just, I'd say like half of it at least for me. So it just wasn't the same. And I felt really sad, especially for Zombie Grub and Wardy as well, because it's their first ever IEM Katowice, long overdue, because they're both of them absolutely destroyed. Like they did so well at this event, and absolutely deserved to be there. And they just didn't get the full experience. And I felt so bad for them because Roddy's experienced it like 8 times. I've experienced it like 6 times. You've experienced it, you know, however many bunch of times as well. So it's just it was heartbreaking, man. Really was a horrible, horrible day when we heard that news. But so on the plus side, we did like after we got sad, we got motivated afterwards to just be like, well, let's just make it the best show we can. And the CS people did the exact same thing. They're just like, well, we're gonna bring on the best show we could possibly do. And I feel like we did. I feel like we really did a good job. The production and everything was really motivated as well. So hopefully that showed.
Yeah, I mean, I think Maynard covered it pretty well. It's just like the day before, we normally get to see Sean a little more, and then we barely saw Sean. And we're giving him a hard time, you know. It's like, well, why haven't you been hanging out with us? He's like, I'm trying to make sure that all of this actually happens. I was like, is there a fear that he's like, there were some talks. He's like, but no, we're still good to go. And then obviously a day later, while we're doing the show already and we're getting ready, next day, like I love Spodek as well. And I can understand that Maynard really lives with Spodek because that's obviously like a super impressive stage. But I truly love the auditorium days, you know, because that is just a packed room, like 700-800 people. I think
pure Starcraft fans,
yeah, and they are dedicated, diehard Starcraft fans. People are lining up, and you know they're chanting. Like I love those days, I truly do. And basically, like less than 24 hours in advance, we get the news that people are not welcome. It really did suck. We're just sitting there, like you gotta be kidding, right? Like it's just. You also know that like guys like Apollo legit spend like 5 or 6 weeks in Poland leading up to this event. You know, they're doing whatever they can to make it as awesome as possible. I truly felt for them. I felt for the fans that were already traveling. I mean, the next day when we were going to the event, there was a shuttle bus waiting outside of our hotel at like 8:30 in the morning, and I see like a bunch of dudes carrying like a crate of beer, and they're like, "Hey, buddy, you want a beer? We're going home again because we can't enter." And I was like, "Man, like this fucking sucks, right?" And I was like, "Obviously, I can't take a beer at 8:30 in the morning." I was like, "If this was a Roddy stream, I would, mate."
I mean,
yeah. So no, like obviously, just really sad, but there's nothing we can do. At the end of the day, it's like what Maynard said. It's like, well, we just gotta do the same job as we always do, or try to make it even better. Because if we just all stand there with zero energy, and when we cast zero energy, then like the event will get even worse because of that. So you got to shake it off. But it just really sucked. It's obviously a very big blow to the event.
Yeah, I definitely feel for fans that are trying to go to an event for, especially like if it's your first time or something like that. You come from out of town. That's been popping up a little bit with Korea as well, because every esports event here has no audience, and in fact LCK, the League of Legends thing, is canceled until further notice.
Yeah, I saw that. That's huge because of the games. Like that's the biggest game in Korea right now, right?
Yeah. And I have a few people have tweeted at me. They're like, "Oh, I'm in Korea. Is there like a match I can go see?" And it's like, well, unfortunately not. Actually, no one's allowed in the building. It's a sad thing for people that travel and want to have that experience. But you guys did great, and I think the tournament overall was fantastic. Maybe not that final match.
We'll get to that then.
I feel, you know, the tournament was frustratingly close, like a map away on either semifinal to being a really great final. Like I think Maru Zest would have been sick. Serral Rogue would have been amazing. Obviously, Maru Serral would have been incredible as well. But
Maru Zest would have been great.
The stars aligned, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
Because I actually, you know, I thought there was such a tiny, minuscule chance of there being a Rogue Zest final.
Yeah. Somebody said that, right? Like I forgot what it was.
Yeah, I said it backstage. I was just like, I was making fun. I'm like, guys, after the final event, when Rogues 4-0'd Zest after making Night of Swarm host 4 games in a row, we're just gonna go out there and we're gonna be like, damn, that was a sick tournament. Something like that.
You said that the day before, like the second last day when we ended, and I think I said something like, "Maynard, if we get a Rogue Zest final, I'll literally just run out of this building screaming with tears in my eyes."
We were joking. We didn't think it was possible. We didn't think it was possible. Like, you know, it's got to be Serral and someone, right? Like, there's no way that Serral loses to Zest. But, there you go. History has been made. I mean, well, honestly, I was as a fan of the game, I was a little bit salty that we didn't get the final that we all wanted. But you cannot take it away from Rogue with the run that he had. Like you look at Rogue's run, that was a very, very legit run to get to their final. And, you know, Zest, I don't think he ever had a hope against Rogue, unfortunately, before that final started.
Well, let's talk more about the end of the bracket after we talk about some of the beginning, because especially with you three guys having commentated so much of it, most fans can't sit down and watch as much as you guys are putting out. So I think it's good to kind of go through and point out some matches that were really good for people to go check out. Because, when I'm trying to catch up on Katowice and I keep loading replays or VODs and it's like the dumbest game, and I'm like, oh shit, I shouldn't have wasted my time on this one. And then, it's good to get those recommendations basically. So here, I'll link you guys within our chat to the, let's start on the offline qualifier brackets.
I mean, I'm going to go with the two very easy and obvious picks, but there were two series of the offline qualifiers that really stood out for me. First one was a qualification match, Hero Marine against Showtime. Honestly, all three games I thought were freaking cool to watch. I was really getting soaked up in it. It was back and forth. It's so sick because without spoiler, like at the end of game 3, I was like, man, this is, well, actually, we can spoil me. Obviously, we're going over the results. I was like, man, this is just heartbreaking for Showtime. He played fucking good. And I leave the player room. I was like, man, I can't believe like Tobias is like out of the tournament. He doesn't deserve that. I walk into the green room, my Smix is sitting, and I see Hero Marine is losing, and I'm like, what the actual fuck just happened? I was like,
he was
up like
so
70
bad for supply at one point.
Yeah.
Really, really nuts.
The disruptive shot from heaven. And the other match that really stood out to me is also a very obvious pick. And then after that, I will try to come up with something a little more creative. But Hurricane against Nice, man. Oh my God. Like, you can't make that shit up. That was so epic, so close. Also, qualification on the line. Truly awesome. Best of 3.
Excellent.
Honestly, I think those are definitely the two best by a fair margin. Like, I know a lot of people don't like PvP, but go watch Hurricane versus Nice if you can even understand a little bit of Starcraft 2, and I dare you not to be entertained. Like, that was one hell of a series. I actually personally pretty enjoyed Euthermal versus Ragnarok, even though there was a big pause in game 1 and some technical issues and there was a large break there. If you put the games back to back together, they're actually very high level and really fun. I also love TVZ, and also Mad Mark's one of my favorite players in the world. So watching him play against Ragnarok and do well was really exciting. He got dumpstered by Trap in the last match though, but that was his match to get into the qualifying match. And he'd been playing TVP all day. Like, it was a big day for him, and he does not like TVP, especially after he started off that winners bracket with Rail and losing. So
I was very, very impressed to see that Euthermal beat Ragnarok. I haven't seen that series yet, but definitely check that out. Actually, while we're on the Ragnarok Euthermal thing, I just wonder if you guys have anything special to add about the whole Ragnarok drama, or if we know.
No, I
think there isn't a drama.
No, honestly. I think that's one of those moments where like there are 7 people around Euthermal, and Ragnarok is just sitting there, and there is no referee coming to him, and he's just like, okay, what the actual fuck is going on? And it's just like auto reflex, right? Like he just like opens his browser. There is really not one hair on my head or the Muslim's head that believes that Ragnarok actually sat there and opened Twitch to cheat against Euthermal. I just don't.
There's definitely no hair on the Muslim's head, but
I know.
Like, I was actually casting that series, so I had like a screen where I look at Mapu as the observer's screen, and it had the lobby there, and Ragnarok was asking in the lobby like, what's happening, when's the game starting, and no one's responding to him. Kevin is the only one that is responding to him, and it's only like once every 5 minutes he's leaving him a message, because we had like a 40-something minute downtime.
Oh damn! Yeah,
because I think Euthermal had like a video card issue or something. Like, his frames per second was too low. So something like a serious issue, not just like a unplug it and turn it back on kind of thing. Like, he needed a new SSD, like a big tech issue. And every single admin was on Euthermal's side trying to help him out with it. So Ragnarok had no information whatsoever. So where are you going to get your information from other than, seeing if something's being sorted out on the Twitch side? And B, he lost the game anyway.
Yeah.
So
I do agree with that a lot of people said like they shouldn't be allowed, or it shouldn't be possible to open Twitch in the first place. And I agree with that. Actually, that is something that they should definitely do next year. Just make it literally impossible to open Twitch in the first place.
At least on the main stage, right? Like, because I know a lot of people in like player pits at a lot of events, they do want to have Twitch open between their series because they want to see what's going on. They want to like maybe research a VOD or something.
Yeah, but I think like it does open up for little drama moments like this. And also there's like, I don't know how many people in the offline qualified, but like 52 or something, right? So there's 52. Obviously we don't have 52 referees. They can't look at 52 screens at the same time.
Yeah.
I think to make it easier on yourself, you just say like, hey, and on any of these computers, Twitch is not working, and you want to watch Twitch, you go to the player room, you go to the green room, you go to any other room out there. I do think that is a very valid point that people made. But it makes me really sad if people even try to start a tiny witch hunt against Ragnarok, because he did not do that to cheat. Come on.
Zero maliciousness. I'm 100% sure of it. So I mean, yeah, going forward, luckily no harm, no foul. No harm was done. But going forward, I think it would be smart to block Twitch entirely at tournaments and just leave it to exactly like Roddy said, the player lounge or somewhere. Because you really should watch games, especially if you're waiting for a series. You should be watching, potential opponents' games in a certain matchup if you're going to play. But yeah, probably not in the player PC and the player pit.
All right, yeah, that's basically most people have echoed what you guys said there, and I would definitely agree with you. All right, so continuing good offline qualifier matches. Do you have any, Ravi, that were really good?
Yeah, there was like one really surprise match for me, which was not one that I think a lot of people were super hype about or anything, but Soul versus Gerald just turned into like this really weird slugfest where I think they were both down to like 4 workers, but it was 18, 20 minutes in the game. Like that entire series was just ridiculous. And Gerald ended up taking it, but
not once, but twice, right? Not twice, right? In that best of
three. Yeah, it was 2 games that were just absolutely insane back to back.
Yeah, I had a funny moment. Like, I think Saul came up to me and he's like, "Roddy, man," he's like, "I lost." I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "Well, I was gonna play Showtime eventually, so I didn't want to use my real builds, and I lost." And I'm like, "So it's like the lower bracket, your tournament life is on the line." He's like, "Yeah, I thought I could just freestyle, man." I was like, "I don't know what to tell you right now, Saul, but that's pretty stupid." Okay, like if your tournament life is on the line, and he knows Gerald very well. I mean, they're from the same freaking country. Okay, you got to take him serious. But yeah, I saw the Nightshade game. That was the final game of that series, and yeah, that's a good pick. That was pretty fun to watch.
Haas versus TLO was also pretty fun, as I'm sure most people can imagine. Like they were both just kind of memeing each other a bit.
I don't remember which WCS event it was, but the first time I've ever seen Dr. Dario go full tilt city on the camera was when he got eliminated by Haas at that tournament.
Oh, what happened?
I think it might have been a Montreal, one of the Montreals, maybe like 2017.
Okay. Yeah.
But like TLO was so pissed, man. And when I was watching that series, I'm like, oh no, not again.
People got to give Haas
those Taiwanese players, man. Nice and Haas went Super Saiyan in that tournament. No one expects them to get that far. Well, I mean, the Haas fans do, but no one.
Nice is pretty legit though.
Nice is legit, but there was there's not a huge crowd. It's like literally a whole dozen of people out there watching the Twitch chat going, Nice has got this, man.
Haas advanced in a bracket with Neeb, TLO, Vanya, Skillis, Probe, Goblin, Bly, bunch of these players that didn't
specifically
advance.
Haas
advanced.
Neeb is not meant to lose.
Yeah, he lost. I don't know what happened in Neeb versus Art. I'm remembering now that I want to look up what happened.
Skillis is the one I watched.
Skillis.
Is that the one you mean?
Well, both of those guys.
Oh, both of them.
Well, he beat Art, but he lost to Bly.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Bly. Oh yeah. I think Bly's doing some cheesy stuff, as you can.
Yeah, but what I find fascinating is that Neep and Bly actually practice with each other. Like I've seen that on multiple occasions where if Neep has a Zerg opponent, that he actually like Bly is one of those guys that you can always ping to play. So the fact that like Bly can still surprise Neep, that is honestly mind blowing to me because they have played hundreds of games against each other. I was really shocked by that. Like, I don't think that should really happen because Neep can be so freaking good. And Bly is tricky, and Bly is good too, of course. But come on, if a lot of the European Protosters can hold their own against Bly, then I really think that Neep should not have ever gone down 0-2. Like the loss against Skillis, that's an unfortunate one, and it's obviously one that we also feel shouldn't happen. But we know how PvP can be, and Skillis is damn good. It was a real shame that I was like talking up Skillis, and then we're like, all right, Skillis against Inno, and that turned out to be an absolutely horrific best of 3. But Skillis is really good. Losing a best of 3 PvP against Skillis, it can happen, but I really felt that Neep shouldn't have lost to Bly.
There was something that Scarlett said to me a long time ago, which was when she like talks about Neeb, it's like when he plays practice games, he's like the kind of guy who will just do the same thing over and over and over again. Like he will practice and Scarlet will be like, why do you keep sending, your stalker to go kill this overlord? Because then I just run the lings. And he's like, well, I know that I should theoretically be able to do this if I do this properly. So I wonder if like, because they practice so much, Bly just knows all of Neeb's little tendencies and just kind of knows all the right things to like poke at. And that it was more of an advantage for Bly than Neeb.
Yeah, but
and
I mean,
and then in tournament, Bly just sweeps the leg.
Yeah.
But we saw Bly against Haas as well, and that wasn't necessarily Haas playing brilliant. Like Haas, what I do love about Haas, and like you can say whatever you want about him, is that he is very good at keeping Starcraft simple. And Starcraft is already such a complicated game, and with Neeb, or excuse me, with games against Bly, it can even be more complicated. Or you can just be Haas and be like, if you're on one base, I'm gonna be on one base. And I think that if I build sky units, you don't have much of an answer to that. And it's like, wow, Starcraft is so fucking simple. And then you have 3 Void Rays literally canceling a natural hatchery like 17 times in a row.
Oh. Yeah, that was the wild thing about Haas in the round of 76 or the offline qualifier is that a lot of the series, at least the ones that we followed on the mainstream, Haas wasn't the aggressive one.
No.
His opponents kept attacking him, and he was the defender.
Yeah,
and that's wild to say when you think about because Haas is Mr. Cannon Rush, he's Mr. Attack, right? Mr. Charge all in, but not this time. No, he was actually sitting there and holding aggression.
Yeah, Vanya also all in him in game 3. Sorry, Robbie, but real quick as well to what you said. Then, like a lot of the Europeans, and I'm obviously a European fanboy as well. And we often talk about how good the European scene is. And last year we were talking about like challenger spots and stuff like that. You gotta give all the credits to the 2 Taiwanese players that came here. Because a lot of the Europeans often said how weak that region is and how they would never do anything in Europe. 2 Taiwanese players came. One of them qualified. Don't ask me how, but yes, he got the job done. And the other one was basically 1 fight away 3 times to qualifying. Like that is incredibly impressive from both those guys. And then and I saw a couple of tweets coming from that region as well. I think it was Rex saying like, we need more spots. And you know what? You can't even argue with it because they came with 2 guys, and both of them did way better than 98% of the Europeans that were there.
And Hurricane Hurricane was the guy that nearly got eliminated by Nice, right? Yeah. And Hurricane made it to the round of 12.
Yeah,
in the end.
Nice left a lot of strong bodies in his wake. Like, I mean, I already knew that Nice was quite good, and he holds a really good MMR on Korea, and he's not really like he doesn't play like Haas, so that takes away a lot of the criticism people have. But like taking down Zanster 2-0, Clem 2-0, Namshar 2-1, Bunny 2-0, and then 1-2 against Hurricane. Damn, man, that's a run right there. That's sick.
Yeah. Yeah, his PvP looked really good, and I think I was standing on the desk with Waddy when he's like, "Yeah, Nice is up 1-0 against Clem." I was like, "Oh my goodness, come on, Clem! Like that's not gonna happen, right?" And it's like 3 seconds later, it's like, "Yeah, Nice 2-0." I was like, "Ugh." But then you watch him play against Bonnie, and that was a good series, by the way. That's not a series that a lot of people talk about. But Nice against Bonnie, that was also a proper legit series where I was very impressed by the way that Nice was playing. I was like, man, nobody can really take anything away from him. This is not some freak run and like how did he get there? Like no, he's playing good StarCraft.
Yeah, so check out that one as well.
I'm really curious, Kev. Did you end up talking with Clem at all during the event, like kind of about his run? Because he was getting really hyped up by players before this event.
No, I did actually not talk to him too much. He looked pretty crushed. Like he looked proper upset.
Yeah.
Obviously, he joined Team Liquid, so he's hanging around with the Liquid boys a lot. And then I don't really just like run in there in the group and be like, "What's up, Clem? What happened?" You know, if I would have found him,
talk to me about that.
Yeah, you know, if I would have found him in a moment where he was alone, then I would have had a little chitty chat with him. But we are actually like, it's kind of funny as well because I know some people said like, "Oh man, it was so much downtime on the main stream," and you don't really realize that if you're there working the event. Because I feel like legit is like one of the busiest days of my life. I am trying to watch 3 streams at any given moment. And in between, get like a little chat in with the players or at least say hi to it. But I feel really busy. Like I'm doing mainstream, I'm doing casting, I'm watching the other streams. So I actually have very little time to go around and talk with the guys. Like I barely spoke, even with my own children, Vindicta and Goblin, I barely got a word in with them. Just a little chat. So now Clem, I do believe all the hype was justified. I believe Clem is really freaking good right now, like incredibly good. And it was just a disappointing showing. But no, I did not get to chat with him.
Fortunate.
Any other offline qualifier matches come to mind that you guys want to recommend for people to check out before we move on to the group stage?
Just going to bring up the bracket real quick because my mind is blanking. I'm just going to have one quick squiz.
Sure.
Unless Roddy can think of something in particular.
Well, I think this was on the mainstream, but I think Paul Harston wasn't too bad, right? I think that was pretty entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, Lambo Trap was had a bit of a wonky game.
If you like Queen All-Ins, if you like Queen Ravager All-Ins, that's a good series to watch.
If you like All-Ins killing a player that's really good, Lambo Trap, right there. Obviously can't take that away from Lambo. He qualified, so yeah. Look, it's I can't. Nothing's coming to mind. I just clicked through bracket 4, bracket 3. I already talked about.
Australia against Showtime was actually pretty good.
Oh yeah,
I was wondering what that would
I didn't
look
get to
like.
see that one.
Australia's real good PvP. He does very well on the Korean server in it. So.
Let me tell you, Dan, that's one of those best of 3s where it should have been 2-0 for Australia. Like legit.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, like if you resume from replay both games, I'll guarantee you Australia like picks up on that, learns from it, and he wins both those games. Australia actually in the other series he lost as well. He lost against Korean Protos, right? Or like he also should have won those games. We were going over that. It's like
he lost Patience.
He 2-0'd Super and then 0-2 Patience.
And I think against Patience in both games, like the game of Zen, he was so far ahead. That's what I remember.
So ahead.
Yeah, like actually, legit, he lost 4 games in which all 4 of them he was ahead, and that is devastating. But that also goes to show, in my opinion, how freaking good Australia became because nobody outplayed him from start to finish. Nobody just got straight up really ahead against him. In my opinion, he was the only American that legit had a very good showing, and I would have loved to see him go on. But yeah, Australia is for real. Like he's the real deal.
Yeah. His PvP is so like he's always been like a little bit of a PvP sniper.
Well, especially now. If he was powerful before, he's like an absolute god now in that matchup.
Yeah, that time in Korea.
I'm really excited to see how he does going forward because he's one of those guys that's just like when you speak to him, like I've talked with Australia a lot and he's just really smart. Like the way he looks at the game, I'm like, oh, you practice right, you think right, like you've got the mechanical skill. Like so much is coming together for him right now.
I love Australia, but I always come back to this. Just feels really unfair when someone is that intelligent and also good looking and good at video game and also their name is Max Angel. Like, is there anything that they want to give back to the world? Like there's a guy out there that's ugly and also bad at video games and also has a shit name.
Hey, I'm gonna kick you off my show. You keep talking to me like that.
No, but like one last little like poetic love speech for Australia is just like I think one of my favorite thing about him is if you talk to him, and I'm sure you've experienced this a bit, Dan, like he is just so open to ideas. He listens to everyone and he'll like say like, hey, I feel like that's not correct for XYZ reason. Like he'll call people out if they're just clearly being wrong, but he actually considers everything. Like I remember he was coaching me and he was like, oh, this mass DT stuff. See, I could see some potential with this. And I'm like, Max, come on. Like, but he actually looks at everything, and it's so impressive. It's so refreshing to see a player that's just like, I'm going to absorb everything in my environment.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I actually thought he was the one joining Team Liquid when TLO was giving the hints, you know, because I saw green and blue, and I knew about Clem joining. Like, that was very obvious to me.
I think Max he loves Alpha X too much.
I don't know, man.
Team Liquid sent you the invite. I don't know.
True. Actually, I have thought that Hearthstone should go to Team Liquid for years. Like when he was doing the tease about joining a new team like Hyperion or something, I saw him at an event right before that. And I was like, it's Team Liquid, isn't it? And I guess that probably felt bad for him because it's like, that's the team you want to join is Team Liquid. And that wasn't it at the time. But he always seemed to me like the perfect fit for them.
No, and he is. I mean, Kev is great all around in every department. But when I didn't know who was joining, I was like, I was like, Australia. I was like, that does make sense. He's like legit a super good American player that I actually think is for real and that can go far. And like you guys say, he's incredibly nice. He's well spoken. He has the coolest nickname out there. He should rename himself to Max Angel, by the way. But other than that, he actually had a good showing. So TLDR is that he was the one American. Like, not to be too rude to you, Ravi. I know your feelings are here, but it's true. The American scene did not show up, but Australia was good. He was the only one that scored at least like a B-, if not better than that.
Yeah, I give Kelazur a little bit of credit also, but I agree.
He's European, mate. He's Dutch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Look,
he's Dutch.
American born. Boom.
I don't
What
know.
about Juanito, man? He did all right.
Yeah, but I
mean,
see
yeah.
I see
It's
Juanito
an American.
yeah,
He's
I'm
a
talking
Korean.
about
He's a
NA.
Korean Terran.
Yeah,
to me.
he's a Korean actually. He's
I mean,
Korean,
I was
then.
thinking
you know,
Mexico, but okay.
But also like credit to Special for a pretty like it was basically a flawless victory in the upper bracket.
Yeah.
Was it 2-0 Polt, 2-0 Namshar, 2-0 Hurricane, and then bam, it's qualified. Like, that's legit.
Yeah. He was in trouble against Bolt on World of
Yeah, that was
Sleepers,
game one. I think that was like Polt did the Polt thing, man. He was just swinging by and picking off bases, and yeah, it was actually really exciting for me because it was cool to see Polt go toe to toe with Special already. Like I honestly thought it would be. And game 2 was a stomp. Like game 2 is more what I expected, but game 1 got me like, oh damn, Polt's gotten really good really quickly.
It's been really cool to see.
Really be a surprise, but it was cool to see.
It was really cool to see Polt, but I feel a little disappointed because I feel like every single day I go to a stream, there's someone in the chat just like, did you see the latest thing that Polt did? I'm like, Polt must be just getting to God status.
Well,
But-
Polt got
Oh, that's
kind
so
of
strange.
cocked. No,
Yeah.
Polt got kind of cocked though. Like he got
That was a hard bracket.
Yeah, he got Special in his upper bracket, and then he drops to the lower bracket. He gets Arstem. Like,
Yeah.
come on. Like if you
he got a
phrase
map
this
against Awesome.
Yeah. But if you compare that to like Utermo had a sick run through the lower bracket, right? But Utermo got holy hit in the first round of the lower bracket, and then he got blue in the second round of the lower bracket. Like if you would have given those opponents to Polt, I'm pretty sure that Polt would have won those 2 rounds already as well. Now Hellraiser maybe would have been a different story, but Polt just had a very tough bracket. Like I said it on the show, I think Polt is the most overhyped and underhyped player at the same time, right? Because like all the fans are like, "Oh my God, Polt is back and he's sniping next side and he's doing his thing and he's gonna be the greatest WCS player." I was like, "Oh ho ho, guys, it's not that easy." But then you also have some haters who are like, "Oh, Polt sucks and he's watched up." Like, no, that's also
which is also not true.
Yeah, so he's like he's good, but these tournaments are so tough, man. Like there are actually so many good players. It's really hard to make a proper run, and that's why I'm so impressed by like those Taiwanese boys that both showed up and both went almost all the way. Like that's really impressive.
Cool. All right, let's jump into the group stage and talk about what good matches we had there. I think there's going to be a lot more of them, but what do you guys have to say about the group stage? Any group?
I mean, for me, group A and B were fun, but my little Terran heart was shriveling and getting a little dry, and it was just looking for a little bit of an injection of some Terran blood. Group C, that's when the Maynard hype engine started to get some coal shoveled into it, man. Yeah. I even remember I remember sitting down, like we had a day off in between round of 76 and between round of 24 where we basically came in for a rehearsal and we did some like B-roll footage. Like Roddy, myself, and Pig sat down and had like basically a what do you think about the groups rundown. And it was actually B-roll that they would do before Group C would start. They'd be like, okay, here's what Roddy, Pig, and Maynard had to say about Group C. And I remember saying, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember saying that Group C was going to make Terran fans really happy because I was so confident that Innovation and Mara were going to get out of there. And a lot of people were saying, nah, Mara's going to disappoint, Inna's going to disappoint because of last year. Like last year fucking matters. And of course, Mara and Innovation absolutely crushed it. It was a really sick group. It was really exciting to see Innovation in that, God Terran form again. Obviously lost to Cyril in the end, but it was also just great to see Maru, who doesn't really play online ever, to look like that guy that you expect, like the best Terran in the world, which I think that he did at IEM Katowice, which is also really exciting. Group D was almost as good as Group C, but towards the end, some stuff went wrong.
Are we going to talk about Cyril versus Hurricane?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
I'm going to talk about everything. Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't get to see it, and I just looked at the bracket and I'm like, did Hurricane just 2-0 Cyril?
Yes,
No one can
yes,
explain.
He did. He ruined fucking everything. God damn it, ruined everything.
He played a double Stargate build on Nightshade and then followed it up with a whole bunch of Zealots, and that just looked really good. And what was it on Triton? It was like just some adepts into Immortal Archon stuff, I believe it was. So Yeah, that was sick actually. Like that was happening on I think the B stream, and we're like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
Sara Hurricane. Sara was off to a very good start. He's like 2-0, 4-0. We're like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a walk in the park. Yona the goat, he's ready to lift his trophy, and then Hurricane just 2-0 him.
When I saw that result, I'm like, oh no, because I
It broke
predicted
TY.
Serral. I predicted Serral, Cure, and TY to get out of Group D, and I thought Cure maybe not, but I was like super certain that TY and Serral would get out. And that loss to Hurricane just ruined everything because it would have been Serral, SOS, and TY would have gotten through. But, yeah.
I gotta say that I'm still unhappy with the ruling that is set in the ESL rulebook. So obviously you can't really argue with it. But 7-6 is not better than 6-5. And if you lose the head-to-head, in my opinion, if anything, TY should have advanced. And if you really want to make it a tie because they're both +1 and you don't want to use head-to-head, then let them play a best-of-1 tiebreaker. I mean, that'd be an awesome way for us to end the day for all the marbles. They both veto 3 maps. Let's go.
I feel like when you've won the head-to-head, it's kind of done in that regard if you have the same score. So it's weird.
I really think that's an incredibly stupid and outdated rule that just doesn't work.
Yes, 100% want to back you up on that. I think that taking that and saying that, like, well, you have one more map win because different map pools, different strategies, different meta games, different player styles, different races all give you different likelihoods to win 2-0 or 2-1.
Yep.
Like
even if you, let's say, like you play a guy like this is just an example, but let's say Lambo ends up in the bottom of the group, right? Let's say you play Lambo in your first series of the day. There's a good chance that you get much more resistance from Lambo if he's your first opponent.
Yeah.
Let's say he could even beat you, but let's say you win 2-1. But if you play Lambo when he's already 0-4, there is a much bigger chance that if you're still fighting to advance, like that is one more reason why this is a stupid system.
Yeah. Completely agree with that. That definitely should be changed.
It should change for next year for sure. But like, has this not been the way tiebreakers have been handled for IEM Katowice for years?
Yeah, but it never
I think we
really
end up
played out
talking
like
about
this.
it.
Like, it's not become super clear because it's such a rare occasion that it's going to become clear. Like it was just a very, very rare occasion, which, by the way, is something that I thought was cool about Group A, B, C, and D. Is that by the end of the day, we still didn't know until the last series because there was actually like a lot of really close scores, you know. Obviously there was like Haas and that sort of thing who kind of got annihilated, but there was still like who's going to be that top 3 was the big question all the way up to the end. There was no clear blowouts, which is cool.
Yeah, no, the stories of the groups are really interesting because like Group A, we start off with Parting 2-0ing Dark, and we're like, is this going to be one of those moments where like the BlizzCon champ goes out in the group stage? Well, Dark made sure that wasn't the case. But Group B was kind of the same, right? Group B was sick because Reynor started off looking so good. He won his first 2 series 2-0. And I'm like, man, I'm so happy to see that Reynor is doing well because I was a little bit worried about Reynor coming into the event, but then he looked fine. Showtime was in all the trouble in the end. Showtime comes back with some really sick games, by the way. Showtime's games, I don't know what it is, but Tobias always plays great games. And then in the end, Reynor dropping out. So I think there was plenty of drama and good comebacks as well in the group stages.
What were some of your guys' like favorite matches? If there was just like a couple matches you could really recommend for someone who doesn't have all the time in the world to watch everything, what would they be?
I think like if I just go from Group A onwards, it'll be really quick. I think that Parting and Dark was like the first series we showed, which was like pretty exciting, honestly. Like there was something that if you like Parting, which I know a lot of people do, that's a big upset to start things off with. It's the world champion. Parting's PvZ is obviously godlike, but there was some sick Prism micros, obviously very micro based, and a really crazy like build order win in game 2 that you would just never expect in 1,000 years. You know how people usually load up a Prism with DTs, Dan, and you turn it into Archons and you harass with that? Parting warps and doesn't get a single Prism. He warps in DTs at home and walks them across the map and kills Dark because Dark has no Spore Crawler, no Lair. And he's just like, well, fuck me. And he loses everything to DTs. And I thought that was just like 10 million IQ from Parting. And as well as the fact that game 1 had really sick Prism Micro, which I always enjoy. That gives my tick of approval there. Let's see.
By the way, I do want to point out, because you called Dark the world champion, Parting was world champion too. I just want to
actually that's how we started off that broadcast. I told Sue, I told Smix about it. I said that you should introduce this series as the beginning and the end of WCS facing off, because it is true. Dark is the last WCS champion, and that's right. And Parting is the beginning of WCS. So and it was you know, a cool upset. And honestly, I'm scrolling through Group A, and nothing's really jumping out into my memory as something that was a great series.
Yeah, same about Group A. Nothing
Yeah.
like, I don't know. A lot of games are like all right to watch, but nothing was really truly spectacular or like, oh my god, you must watch this. I think Group B, Rainer against Showtime was very good. Like actually, I think both games were very fun to watch. That's what I remember.
Yeah, I think you know, Zest getting a 2-1 over Rogue was a sort of a sign of things to come, not of the final, but of the fact that Zest's PVZ was quite legit. Yeah, 2-0 over Sue. I mean, this was just PVZ and ZVZ and PvP heaven, Group B. So if you like PVZ, I would say that the Zest PVZs were pretty impressive. His win over Reina was a little bit heartbreaking, but also pretty cool at the same time.
Yeah, it was a good one, I think.
Yeah, that was a good series.
Even though those DTs, like, oh no, the DTs on World of Sleepers.
Oh, I felt so bad. Well, I'm a massive Reina fan, and you know, just been picked up by a new team, so I wanted him to do well. But so did Zest. You know, he's just been picked up by Razor Edge Gaming, so these hot pickups for IEM. So I think maybe Reina Zest was cool. Showtime versus Zest was also a fun series. I know it's all Zest SS, but I like Showtime Zest as well.
I can't really speak too much for Group A and B, but for Group C and D, what's kind of a weird recommendation I would say is that if you absolutely hate PvP right now, Group C and D had 1 PvP each of Trap versus Patience and SOS versus Hurricane. And both of those I actually thought were pretty enjoyable. And they were both like macro like all of the games, both of the players kind of got up to like 3-4 bases and like had a really solid, cool, interesting macro PvP where their armies were split up in different parts of the map, and it was a good time. So it's a shake up from the people who hate PvP.
Yeah, I think I saw Hurricane SOS on Triton. I mean, I wouldn't really call it macro when SOS is shading 27 adepts in your natural, but it was a good game.
Am I misremembering it?
Yeah. I think that was actually really fun
because series.
It did look like Hurricane was in trouble, but then he turned it around. He played really good in those games, actually. Like, Hurricane did not look like the lesser Protoss in that PvP, so that was good.
Yeah, Hurricane lost, I guess, the first 2 series, and then he just kind of like started coming back in the later half of his group.
I think Several TY game 2 was pretty good. The one on Eternal Empire, that was a good match.
The bio game, not the mech game. The mech game just kind of ended.
The first one was
on Triton. Yeah.
That was
I mean, TY Cure is probably the best series of the round of 12, depending, like, based on community feedback, and also
it was good.
I game 1 was fucking insane. I know a lot of people are talking about game 1 and how like the BC face off at the end just kind of made that game turn up to 11, and all of a sudden it was just like laser beams, like everything everywhere all at once, and then the game just kind of ended. To me, the real sick game in that series was game 2 on Eternal Empire. That actually you went over. I saw on the in-depth with Jake.
That's one of the best TVTs I've ever seen. That game 2, TY versus Cure. Holy shit, they're both so good.
Comebacks and TVT, I feel, are pretty rare, but especially when you put into the fact that it's up against Cure, who is one of the greatest Terrans to have ever touched the game. So the comeback on game 2 of TY against Cure was fucking incredible. And as a Terran player, you should treat yourself to watching that game if you want to watch anything.
It's amazing.
I don't know if you took a look at Maru against Trap game 1 then, but I think you would have a fun time taking a look at that in-depth.
Yeah.
I thought it was it was a fascinating game because it's so funny because I was watching Hero Marine stream today and he was going over it. And you know that Gabe was like so ready to say like, oh yeah, I mean, you can't win this as Terran, but basically everything that progressed into the game, he's like, I mean, it's actually like not that bad for Maru, which means that this should be the easiest win of his goddamn life.
Won the game, yeah.
But I gotta say that Trap actually did, like, he handled that fight near the middle of the map so freaking good. And what I love the most, and like I really can't do that with my Baboon Protoss micro, but is that he can drop force fields. He can just let a couple of zealots go in to soak up a couple of shots, but then he keeps the remaining zealots behind. Because so often you see all the zealots go towards the force field, and then the bio that's on the other side gets a couple of easy kills, right? Like the way that Trap handled the last few minutes of that first game, like he should have never won that game, but it was very impressive that he did. Sure, Maru led him a little, but like it goes 2 ways, right? Like one player makes a little slip up and the other player capitalizes on it in like 110%. So I thought that was an interesting game.
Cool. Any other group stage games, guys, that stand out?
If you like losing brain cells, Sara Lambo. That was a.
Why? What was wrong with that one,
dude? I mean, it was entertaining. It was entertaining, and I love wild games. They get me excited. Lambo started off that series with the drone pool, 12 pool all in. You just bring everything across the map.
But not the old one where they leave 3 drones. Now they pull all of them.
It's all
12.
of it. Yep, bring everything. Everything. So the kitchen.
How did that metagame advance? Was there a stage where they were leaving 2 drones and then 1 drone, and then they were like, you know what?
And then I watched Denver do it to Rainer on his stream this morning. A few hours ago. It's crazy, but I find that entertaining. I also like the interview at the end where Sara was just, Smix was like, "That was a short series. What happened there?" And Sara was like, "Well, that's not really my fault."
Yeah, that was insane. That was a best of 3 in like 8 minutes, like legit 8 minutes without exaggeration.
Yep. So if you only got 10 minutes to watch a best of 3, right there, that's the one. I don't know, man. I feel like we went over the really like marquee ones that super stand out. There's probably a series or 2 that was on the BLC stream that we missed. I don't know if you can remember any, Robbie. But
I was very sleep deprived.
Okay. Well,
I was on like 1 hour
and
of
you
sleep
missed,
for those 10 hours.
And you missed the first groups, didn't you? Because you were out and about.
Yeah, I had to head to ER.
Right. That's right. So
all right, so that's all right. We'll jump up to the playoffs then, where not as many 3-0s as we've had in some years. So that was good at least. What do you guys think about this? I watched a lot more of the series within the playoff region. I was like really looking forward to these SOS games. Then I watched them and I was like, well, he used Max Pack, so that was fun. But that was like the most one-sided series ever, Maru versus SOS. Even when SOS killed like 40, he killed like 40 SCVs, and it was still like the biggest fight ever. It was like, what is going on here?
In the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where like I kind of knew that SOS was going to be super aggressive, and I was relatively confident that Maru was just going to not shit the bed this time because of how solid he'd been looking. Obviously, when we looked at Maru SOS, we had to bring up the elephant in the room, which was the last time they faced each other at the global finals. And Maru just proxied him 3 games in a row, and 3 games in a row, SOS just went no. And just beat him back. And I mean, it kind of looked
Starcraft.
I know you love it because you hate fun and you hate storylines and you just want.
It's not possible for Sara and Maru to not play each other when they're in the same group together.
Yeah, it's very true. But yeah, it was kind of not that great of a series, in my opinion. The Maru SOS one was relatively one-sided. I actually think that a lot of the quarterfinals and the round of 12 wasn't that great. Stats and SOS was good fun, but again, that was a bit of a bum clencher in the round of 12. But I thought the other 3 series were not great.
You know what was great about SOS against Stats is that I genuinely think that SOS thought Stats was Terran or something, because he's like, what if I just go 12 gate Zealot Stalker every game? And Stats made some big mistakes there, because that was unnecessary. Like, there were a couple of moments where it's like, mate, if you build 2 shield batteries and you sit there with 5 Archons, it doesn't matter if he has 20 or 48 Zealots. Like, they're not going to do anything. But every single time when SOS was like, it would be really good to fight right now, Stats is like, all right, mate, like, let's go. And it's like, no, like, just wait like 3 seconds and you get 2 more Archons and you would have been fine.
Yeah, there was actually some missed macro from Stats, which was a very uncharacteristic effort. Just to see him float money and like, especially before a giant battle, and like not have everything ready at that time. Just felt like he had maybe a bit of a brain fart towards the end.
Especially because like it doesn't really look like it, but legit SOS is pretty all in on those moments, because he's working with a very inferior army, and Stats just kind of dropped the ball. Like, maybe he was tired, maybe he didn't sleep all, maybe he stayed in the casino too long. I don't know what happened, but he did not play as good as we know he could play, because those are some winnable games for Stats. Absolutely. By the way, I just want to say that if you can only watch one game of this entire playoffs, I don't know if you've seen this game or not, but probably the best PvP I've ever seen. Deer against Zest on World of Sleepers. Okay, if you can only watch one game, you gotta watch that game. That's
what happened.
Which one was that?
Oh, I mean, I cannot summon up this game then. But imagine
Yeah,
a
no.
world where Zest is up 2-0, right? And then Zest
Mhm.
proxies an Oracle, and Deer is like, I'm gonna go 3-gate Robo. But then he has no units when the first Oracle flies in, so he loses 7 probes. And then Deer is like, you know what? He will never build a second Oracle, so I'm gonna start attacking. Second Oracle flies in, kills 6 more probes. So now Deer has like 12 workers. Obviously, Zest is sitting at home. He's like, well, I guess I just don't expand. So Zest is sitting on his one base with a couple shield batteries, and he's just like building his own robot stuff now, and he has gateway units. And Deer is sitting there at the bottom of the ramp. He's like, I'm pretty fucked, aren't I? And we're like,
He's just there with his dick in his hand, man. It's like oh god.
Yeah.
How did
And
I
the
get
sad
to
thing
this?
is that obviously Deer, his robo is proxied as well. So eventually when Zest feels like, he says like, I've still got 2 oracles, that you're gonna have to be home eventually. Basically, the game is like 99.9% won, right? Zest has everything. Then something happened, which I cannot possibly explain. Like, if you would explain to anyone that watches Starcraft 2, Zest doesn't need to finish this game, but Zest is like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and finish this game. Deer starts building Phoenix at home after he finally is up to like 22 workers, because he's worried that Zest will go Disruptor, which would have been very good against the basic Robo Gateway army.
But
So
what
he
else did
starts
he do
going
with that
Phoenix.
robo?
But Zest is like, no, I'm not gonna go Disruptor. I'll make a Colossus and I'm just gonna run to the other side of the map.
Oh.
Now, at one point, Deer is like, hey, is he like one base all-inning me? So Deer builds 3 shield batteries in his own main, and he's got a couple sentries. Now, obviously, Colossi have very big legs, and they can walk over armies, and they can break force fields. But what you can also do is be Zest and be amazing in PvP, and run up the ramp of a one-base Protoss, then realize that he drops a force field on the ramp, so you use your War Prism to pick up your Colossus, and then you drop it on the force field. Sounds cool, right? But it sounds bad if you miss it. So he picks it up again. Now he drops it above the force field. He misses it too. While all of this is going on, he's fighting Immortals
It's
and
fucking
Phoenixes
amazing, dude.
and 3 shield batteries. And it basically takes him like 9 seconds and an insane amount of missed DPS to break a force field, because he wants to drop it so badly while he could have just walked it over. And then suddenly, when he finally breaks the force field, they're like, I think he's losing this game now, because like Immortals, Phoenix, and Shield batteries are pretty freaking good. Oh my god, what a meme. What an absolute meme of a game.
Yeah. And then Zest crushed him the next game. He's like, all right,
Yeah.
series is over. He's like, that
Excellent.
was a fun, weird game, but we're not going to do that again. Thanks for that, Zest. But I think that both the series that are really unmissable are both semifinals. Heartbreaking results for some, awesome results for others, but very, very close, very down to the wire. Incredibly high level StarCraft on both from all 4 of those players. That was really, really sick stuff.
So, what do you guys think?
force.
Like, Dan, sorry, I'm gonna go again, guys. I'll make it short though, because I feel like Dan, in the past as well, you've also, like, we watched some games of Sara. I think we were in Korea during GSL Vs. the World. He was under pressure, and I remember you looking at me. You're like, he is so fucking good at StarCraft because he just stays so calm during everything, right? It seems like almost nothing phases Sara in game. I'm starting to feel like he lost that ability a little bit, because he looked so tilted after that game 4. Like, after Ephemeron happened, he looked so upset, like next level. And the only time I've ever seen that is when he lost that Thunderbird game against Raynor in WCS back then. I was like, oh my god, like, he's not gonna win this tournament anymore. And then Raynor won it. And I feel like in the old days, Sara was so good that like nothing really got to him. But I feel like that game 4 got to him so badly, and I feel like that's where it all went wrong, obviously.
That's funny you say that, actually, because I was casting ASL, and so as soon as we go to commercial break, my phone comes out and I'm on the stream, and I'm like, oh shit, it's Sara versus Zest right now, Tasteless. And then I'm like, Sarah's pissed, and this was right after game 4. I actually didn't get to catch it. Then I watched it later, but like it was showing him on camera, and I had not really seen him that emotional before. I'm like, well, shit, really, I guess we're going to game 5. Like, yeah.
He looked. I was even talking to Zombie Grub about it. As I think it was Zombie Grub was backstage, and I was just like, last year I remember, like, you and Nick were there, Dan. Like the year where Cyril got to the semifinals with Classic. That was obviously the year that he became the world champion. But where he was getting really hyped up, and he was the top 4 foreigner again, and he was like. And he was shaking. Like, the camera was showing him his hands, like when he was taking a drink of water, his hand was shaking. And I was like, oh my God, he's freaking the fuck out. This kid's like not used to being on the big stage. He's freaking the fuck out. And he looked cool as a cucumber for the first 2 games against Zest. Like, he looked so Like he looked like a fucking Jaedong face killer,
Yeah.
like Korean professional at the start. But then
That's what
after
that was
those
surprising.
losses,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
no,
what
you're
surprised
absolutely
me even more because like going into the semifinals, he had this like cheeky smile on his face, like sometimes the way that Ino has that smile as well when Ino knows he's ready to destroy some nerd. I feel like Sara looked so calm, so confident, and he just looked so good. And I had not a worry in the world that Sara wasn't going to win that series. I was like, man, like he looks good, he looks ready, he's down. And after that game 4, I was like, oh my god, like I actually think he's gonna lose.
Yeah,
Like,
he was tilted off the face of the earth. The game on Zen, I think. Was it the Zen game 5 or
no,
game 4?
Ephemeron. When
Ephemeron, yeah.
he ran it as DTs because he was building spores and stuff as well, and then he just died to like the adepts, like basically in 5 minutes. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, and it was frustrating. Like the day before, I was talking to Cyril a bit, and then Roddy was as well, where Cyril was just like, I know what Zest is going to do, and I think it's a bad build, and I've got something prepared. And I was like, oh, cool. He sounds very, very confident. And who else could you put confidence in other than Cyril? If he says he's confident, you're like, yes, great. Cyril's going to be in the grand final. He'll probably win it all. But alas, was not meant to be.
No. And I got to say, Rogue versus Maru, I thought that was my favorite series that I've seen so far from the tournament. I thought that was
that was really hype.
That was awesome. That was really fun. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about like some of those Hellbat attacks from Maru, but it felt like if the Hellbat attack fell on its face, Maru just didn't recover very well. I think game 1 on Eternal Empire, I think it was game 1, was really, really, really cool. It was a Lingbane Muter against Biotank, which is to me is like peak StarCraft, like TVZ, Hype City, and 2 of the best players in the match. So good stuff, good shit.
I mean, I thought Cyril's Zest, sorry Dan, but I thought Cyril's Zest, the first 3 games I thought were actually really good. And I also thought that Zest played his heart out on Triton, by the way. I actually almost feel like Zest kind of deserved to win Triton. Because like in the old Nidus, like you can win games like that, right? Because it was almost impossible. But after the first Nidus got shut down by the Oracles, I think if Zest has like 2 Zealots on the second Nidus, because the initial defense of Zest was like really on point, but all 3 of the first 3 games, they were just awesome to watch. That was really good StarCraft. And if you haven't seen it, you should absolutely watch it.
Actually, quick question. I haven't checked out Cyril versus Innovation yet. Was that any good?
Actually, yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was definitely one player looking better than the other, but there was some close games. I think the only game that kind of sucked was the one that Innovation actually won because it kind of just ended. It was like a very sneaky 2-factory. Like he proxied his second factory up it was on Eternal Empire. He like proxied his second factory up there and hid the fact that he was researching Blue Flame and then hit with Hellbat timing attack.
The last one
a really cool build, like a free win for a lot of Terrans out there if you can pull it off in TVZ. Dude, for sure. But
yeah, no, that build seems to be kind of popular because Maru tried it against Rogue on Zen, and I was like, why the fuck did a Zergling scout that? What are you doing with that Zergling up there right now? This must be something that he's using a lot. Like, there's no way. That was such
that one, man.
Yeah.
Like I actually, I thought that Maru was going to be in the final, like almost certainly, because I like look at Zen, I see TVZ, and I'm like, oh man, you can't win ZVT on Zen against a player like Maru. That's not a map that Zerg does well on. No way. Womp womp.
Sara, the last game wasn't that good either, though, because that's where the game where Sara kind of all into Innovation, with like Roachling Rapture, and made the face. He's like, I didn't tree-rate you, and this is what you did to me.
He did his sad face. But yeah, I mean, there was definitely good games in Cyril Innovation, but the semis has like more bang for your buck, I feel.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2 not so great games.
I gotta tell you guys a little story though. So I was casting ASL and everyone rushed each other. So I was like really lucky and I got to go home and watch the finals live. I mixed myself up a little glass of whiskey and Coke and I sat on the couch, put it on my TV. I was so excited.
And it was over.
My wife's like walking around the house doing stuff. And then as it finishes, I'm like, well, that was a fucking terrible finals. It was like, it was one of the worst finals I've ever seen, unfortunately.
I'm glad you said one off, because one thing that really tilted me was the community exploding about the worst finals ever. I'm like, y'all are either new or you have short memories, because that was a bad final. Maybe even top 5 bad final, but it's certainly not the worst. StarCraft 2 has had some shit.
Nestea has had at least 2 finals that were worse than that. Okay,
Nestea versus Inca. Oh god, I rewatched that sometimes just to make myself cringe.
There's MC
I'm like, okay,
Seed.
the DTs didn't work
MCC.
3 times. Maybe it'll
Oh
work
my
the
God.
4th.
I don't think MCC
MCC
was that bad. Wasn't that like some
Okay,
cold Blade
what
soccer
about just-
micro?
Guys, let me tell
What?
you how bad MC Seed was. Okay, maybe the game quality wasn't as bad, but we rented out the fucking beach in Busan, and DRG from Busan was in the round of 4 against Seed, so there was no way he was going to lose. And then not only did he lose to Seed, but the series ended so fucking quickly, it was still daytime out, so we didn't get the cool lights on the beach scene. That for me was a terrible finals.
And that was the last GSL finals in Busan.
It might have been.
And also another one that comes to mind was even at that very stage, SOS Hero. You guys watch that final? Do you remember that one?
Oh,
SOS
yeah.
Hero.
Oh my
2014.
God.
The 4-0 Cannon Rush series. Where
That's
Cannon
right.
Rush
I
4
cast it. There was
games
like
in a row and
gates in
the
the
game just fucking
main.
ended.
That was
Yeah.
legendary as
People
all
are
hell,
like-
okay?
People are like, that happened 6 years ago. No one remembers that one. I'm like, that was the worst IEM final. You know, Zest Trap, honorable mention as well for not a great final at IEM. But the SOS Hero was fucking terrible. And there's no way that Zest Rogue was worse than that. Get out of
I'm
here
with
that.
you. I'm with you that it was
No,
a
I
terrible
thought.
final. But God,
that-
did that set up the
confused
story
me.
of SOS having cojones?
Yes, it did. It showed that SOS gave 0 fucks. And that he was playing like he wanted to, like he was playing like it was a all or nothing tournament, which was absolutely was. He's like, I will cannon rush you for $100,000 and give a fuck about the games. I don't care
Yeah,
about
that was the winner
fans.
takes all tournament. That was the year
winners
that they
take
did
all
winner
tournament.
takes
Yeah.
all.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's $100,000 for first and 0 for second and below. Yes.
Yeah, and I recall from that tournament there was like Hero didn't split with anyone. A bunch of people made agreements to split, and he was one of 2 players that was like, I'm not splitting with anyone, which I thought was so ballsy, and then so sad when SOS beats him in the finals. He wins literally $0.
Oh.
And I was a big. I mean, I had been a Hero fan up until his retirement to the military. So I was like, it was especially heartbreaking. I stayed up late to watch that one because it was, in Australia, and I'm like, Hero's got this dude. Hero's such a god, and then 4 games in a row.
Well,
all done.
Here's a question: did Zest's build orders just run out? Because
No.
he like
I
it
think
felt well, I don't know. He's doing like fucking Adeptal in like 3 games in a row, and like he was the only person, by the way, in the tournament who beat Rogue, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
And that was
2-1
like a
him,
2-1 in the group stage. But
Mhm.
it seems like he was doing so well, and then it felt like Rogue was like, I've seen enough of this shit. Get out of here.
So
Yeah,
so
but
Zest had
like,
it-
okay, so
Oh,
this
you
is
go
why.
ahead.
Sorry, man, I'm really fired up about this. Like, I do believe that you can obviously exploit his opening. Don't get me wrong, but Zest, like, I was really upset when I read all these reactions. Like, well, he got blind counted. Rogue just knows that his build is bad against all ins. Like, if anyone analyzes that Baning boss game, okay, Zest even scouted the gas, but you can also see when the gas is being taken. If you get a pylon block off on your opponent and they take a pre-1 minute gas, which is like 10 or 11 seconds quicker than it's supposed to, you got to be aware of the fact that there is a good chance you're going to get all in. Because if he builds a shield battery there and he leaves a stalker in the ramp, in the wall, there is no fucking big deal. If he has a follow-up scout, that's not a build order loss. If anything, that simulacrum game, that's a build order win for Zest. Like, he should always win that. You can resume that from replay, and 100 out of 100 times you can win that. So I really don't like it when people say like, oh, Rogue just knew that his build sucks against all ins. Like, no, Zest just didn't react to what he scouted at all. And then even when he scouted that there was still gas being mined, he still didn't like take it serious. He was at 37 workers against like 18 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't
He was
have to.
being
You know, I
stubborn.
think that's good analysis of it, Roddy. And when you think about really the way that Zest plays and when he's in peak form, he doesn't react all that much. He's an optimizer. Like, he gets a sick build, he gets really good at it. His micro's great, his macro's great, and then he kills you. And like, a lot of what you're doing doesn't matter. And I think that's part of his power. But yeah, that's good.
And I think Nightshade is almost the same scenario. Again, he gets the hatch block off, which is really good. By the way, against Sara, he got hatch block 3 out of 5 games. Those are all 3 games he won, by the way. I think people underestimate how big of a freaking deal it is to force Zerg to expand at the 3rd. But again, he gets the block off. Again, Rogue takes literally a 1 minute gas. Again, like 10 to 12 seconds quicker. There is no follow-up scout at all. Like, if I play against any Zerg, I get a hatch block off, and I see they take a 1 minute gas, like, I'm freaking paranoid. If I had any plans of building a Phoenix, I'm opening Void Ray right now. And even if they don't all in me, you know, you can get some value out of a Void Ray, and your
Sure.
economy is always going to be good because of what you got along. The fact that he just played the exact same, even though the gas was that early, that's just stubborn. Now, I got to say, the Roach one is a bit harder to defend because Twilight is not ideal there, but his warp gate is still pretty fast. So if he gets 2-3 batteries, warps in a couple stalkers, he can also defend that build. It's just, I don't think he ran out of builds. I just think he, for some reason, did not think that 12 seconds on an extractor mattered much. Well, I think that matters the entire world in early game.
Anything else to say about the finals, Maynard or Robbie?
I mean, I was just going to say that, you know, as far as Zest doing the same build every game, that's something that was working against the Zergs for a very long time. But Rogue was just, I even said it in the cast, I'm just like, Rogue's the kind of guy that's so intelligent. He saw your series against Cyril. He knows what you're going to do, and he's already thought of a way to deal with it. And it got dealt with.
But my issue with that is that the way that he won the first 2 maps, that is not a way to deal with it. Because if Zest, like even like Zest does his build, right? If he just reacts to what he scouts, like he didn't lose that by like saying like this build beats that build. It's like, no, Zest lost it because he made 0 adjustments and he can still do his same build. It's just that if you're getting all in, you're getting all in, right? Like let's say in a TVT, let's say you're worried about a BC opening, but then you see that your opponent has 8 Hellions and you don't wall off and they run in and kill all your SUVs. You didn't lose because you're worried about the BC. This is a super random example, right? Like you have to deal obviously with what is happening in the game, no matter what your plan is. I think it flustered Zest a little bit, and I did think it like really throw him off after he lost those 2 games. But I think it's a bit unfair when people say that Zest only played 1 build. Like yes, a lot of his openings were Glaives, but don't forget that he also had some double Stargate stuff. He had Phoenix openers, he had Oracle openers, he had Glaive DT. He had obviously a Cannon Rush with a Robo. Like, I don't think it's fair to say that he only had 1 build. Obviously, the Glaive shit is his main shit right now because he's incredibly good with it. But I think
there's a multiple Stargates build as well that he's been using in Alima League. I don't know if he did it at IEM, but yeah, he's had a big Stargate build.
I'm gonna blame the fact that so many people are saying, because I'm with you, Roddy, but I think I'm gonna blame the fact that there was that interview that came out on Team Liquid like a day after where basically Rogue was like, yeah, he just kept doing this thing and I saw and I was like, oh, I could just punish him for it. So I think people are just like misinterpreting the wording of that and just restating that opinion. I think that's what's happening.
Maybe. I mean, if that's what Rogue says, how are you going to argue?
Yeah. Well, that might have been like, you know, a couple crucial wins where that's how he values it. It's like, well, I got 2 wins that were easy here, you know.
But Roddy's obviously a really high level player that holds Zerg all-ins all the time. All he does is play Europe. So
no, like especially like that Simulacrum, I was like, man, this is never gonna work. And Zest scouts like the gas again. I was like, man, he puts a stalker in the wall. He could even temporarily full wall off, you know, as long as you're 12 workers ahead, that's all good. And he just didn't do anything. And I was like, uh-oh. And then he falls for like the oldest trick in the book where the freaking Overlord flies in the main. He's like, oh, I'm going to use my Stalker. So now all he has is an Adept in the wall off. And I'm like, no, like he was in a perfect position to hold it. A shield battery and a Stalker in the wall. And he holds that with ease, like absolute ease. Oh, that hurt.
Nightshade was so painful too, because it's like you see the pylon is about to be built and the probe is approaching for the full wall, and then just all the links come in and like, okay, it's over. Cool. That was fun.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess that any other thoughts about IEM Katowice before we jump to our mini topic?
I think the one reason why I hate this finals more than I hate even a lot of the other finals that were worse is that the other final, like I feel like Inca versus Nestea, MC versus Seed, all these other finals, SOS versus Hero, I will be able to meme about them for years. I don't even feel like there's a meme for this one. It's just kind of like, oh, that finals kind of sucked. It's like, that's it. We don't even get extra entertainment.
Excitingly sucky finals.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It wasn't because someone was just being a baboon. That wasn't what happened. Like,
yeah,
you know,
that's what disappoints me. I'm okay with the shitty finals every so often.
Oh, it happens, and I don't know if this is real or my dumb human monkey brain is just seeing a pattern where there isn't one. But one thing I've noticed from doing like 40 seasons of GSL, if you have a terrible round of 4, the finals is good, and if you have a great round of 4, the finals is bad.
Yeah, no,
I just keep seeing that happen. So I don't know. Maybe I believe in witches or something, but I don't know.
I gotta say though, I was legit pretty pissed because you go into the final day and you've got these super high hopes, right? You're like, oh my god, like the entire world will be talking about Starcraft. We're gonna get Maru, Sara, grand finals, best of 7, all maps are gonna be played. It's gonna be sick. I hope it's close. I hope Sara wins. You're thinking about how awesome this day is gonna be, and then Sara loses. You're like, well, fuck. But I mean, Seth's played a great tournament, so it is what it is. And I was like, well. I was like, okay, on one hand, I want Maru to win because I was like, we've seen enough CVPs. So yeah, let's just Maru win. But then I kind of hope Zest beats him, otherwise everybody's going to see like, oh, Sara will drop the ball. Then Rogue beats Maru. And I was like, well, that's like the least hyped final of all the options. But I was like, you know what? It's still going to be good, right? So you have like the least hyped final on paper. But I was like, let's not take anything away from those guys because they did a fantastic job. They deserve it. And then you get those freaking shitty ass games. You just like, oh my god. And then to top it off, like the Zerg wins and Zest, who played an amazing fucking tournament, just played some really bad games in a row. And I'm like, you can't make this up. Like, what did we do to get punished this hard? It's like this is like the worst of the worst of the worst scenarios. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, that's actually my I was talking about it on my stream to my chat where they were just asking about IEM and what my feelings were about the tournament. I just basically said that so every now and then the stars just align and some cosmic disturbance just makes everything go wrong at once. And I feel like IEM Katowice suffered from a bunch of acts of God, like not even anyone's fault. It was just like God came down and he was like, someone needs a good day today. And what we're going to do is it's kind of like the Max Angel thing where he has all these wonderful things about him. So he's taken it. There's some human out there that has nothing going for them because Max has taken it all. God is just like, someone out there is having a really bad day. Shit, they've had a bad week. I need to make their week really good. They're gonna find a briefcase with $1 million in it this week. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it away from this esports tournament in Poland. We're gonna take away the crowd. We're gonna make everyone get extremely close to what everyone wants, but not quite get there. and then in the final, we're gonna just make it bad games. And we have to, and it's just an act of God thing. Like everything that could have possibly gone wrong in the last couple of days went wrong, but only game-wise. Like production was fine. We actually, a lot of people forget about it. IEM Katowice was talked about as the greatest produced tournament of the year, if not all time. Every time someone talks about Starcraft 2 tournament, right? But as someone that's there, like I know we have mic issues where someone's muted. We have like sound issues. We have downtime from PCs going down. We have all sorts of technical issues, which people forget about because they have that wonderful taste in their mouth after the tournament of like, wow, that was a really sick event. I'm so happy Sue won and broke his curse. And no one remembers all that round of 76 production snafus or round of 12's production snafus. This tournament had basically nothing. Everything was great. It was there was a couple. Yeah, there's a couple, but
the mainstream apparently crashed quite a few times. I thought it was only 2 or 3, but there are people who said that the mainstream went down like 6, 7, or 8 times.
Oh, okay. I did not know about that. That's I didn't know about that. Okay, I take that back then.
Actually, all three, mainstream, B stream, and C stream all went down at least like 3-4 times.
Well, B stream went down because of a dog. The others,
it went down because of a dog, and it went down because of internet twice. And I think his PC just crashed once.
Well, woof. Yeah. Oh God, that clip is legendary. But it just felt like there was cosmic forces at hand, just stopping that tournament from being the best that it could have been. Yeah. And a lot of it was out of our hands. Like internet going down and shit like that. Honestly, I don't even fault production for that. That's not something you can control. Just shit happens.
Yeah. But yeah, it does feel like, you imagine Sara, Maru, grand finals. The only thing is that what I hate is that the Starcraft community is really extreme and excessive these days. Like, if Sara wins, Zerg is bullshit. If Maru would have won, undisputed GOAT of all time, finally beat the patcher, right? Like, it's one way or the other, you already know. But like, just think of how cool it could have been if that's like a 4-3. Think of how hyped that would even be on YouTube. Like, that would legit reach so many people. Like, who in their right mind is ever sharing the Zest versus Rogue Grand Finals VOD to their friends and be like, hey, you should watch this? But imagine if that would have been, like, it does, all memes aside, it does seriously suck. Because, like, an IEM Grand Final, that is an opportunity to reach a lot of players that played StarCraft in the past, or even get other people that love strategy games interested. It is one of those, it could be big moments. and it just wasn't. So it sucks in more than a meme way, and it was a bad finals. It sucks because the potential that was there is now not being utilized right.
Yeah. It's the start of the Pro Tour, and we really wanted to start it off with a huge bang. And I feel like
well, the tournament was great. Like there was a lot of good games, a lot of good matches. So
very cool tournament, and
for the crowd thing, like one thing I actually just want to like pat Roddy and Maynard and all the other casters on the back. Like I honestly did not really feel the lack of presence for the crowd at all during the event until the finals. Then I was, because of course things are already going horribly wrong at that point. But like, I think you guys
did deliberately not showing the crowd and that sort of thing, obviously.
Oh yeah. I don't mean like visually. I just mean like the energy level and all that stuff. Like you guys were killing it, and of course we had great games as well. But like, I think that was something I was a little worried about when I heard about the crowd. That just like, oh, it's gonna just be like kind of empty after every match. But I think you guys did a really good job, and production did a great job.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. Dan, quick question. Did you see our other favorite clip of the tournament? And that is Wardy on the analysis desk.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
No, I don't think so.
It's so good.
Was it Rail or Rail and
Rail versus Ragnarok? Like he's still kind of in it. Rail's kind of doing good. It's over, but you have to watch it. Then it's so funny.
Yeah, I'll try and find it.
Excellent. All right. Well, I guess that pretty much does it for the IEM Katowice review. Thank you guys for all the great game suggestions and discussion. One thing before we go to the Patreon questions and everything is I did want to bring up. There's been let's bring Matt, put up the graphic I sent you. So this appeared on Reddit that I thought was a pretty funny way to look at this. It's been a lot of balance discussion to the point where we had the front page of 25 posts, 14 were balance posts, and 11 not balance. That was balanced. The funniest thing I did. Yeah. And I guess, the reason why this came up is another Zerg champion. Some of the stats that I saw were like, for instance, how many WCS tournaments in a row have a Zerg champion? Like 10 or something. And then the last 3 BlizzCons, the last 3 IEM Katowices, the last 2 GSLs, the last Super Tournament. There's a lot of Zerg champions, and there's not a lot of anything else champions. So, people are talking about it again, and I kind of want to get your guys' opinion on this because it is kind of a hot topic at the moment.
Oh.
All I want to say is that, of course, everyone is going to balance wine after the tournament. But my God, the amount of balance whining I saw during the tournament, before we crowned a champion and everything, for every single race, I saw tons of people complaining about Terran. I saw tons of people complaining about Protoss and tons of people complaining about Zerg. This literally, like, no matter who won, everyone would just be like on like the hate Terran, hate Zerg, hate Protoss hype train. Like, it's so dumb. It's so infuriating to me.
Agreed. Part of I know that Reddit is basically the hotspot for StarCraft 2, and I can't fucking stand it. Like you will very, very, very rarely see me there ever.
Is there another forum you can use?
People told me they're like, hey Maynard, you got a hype thread on Reddit, and I had no fucking idea because I'm not going to go there and I'm not going to see it. So thank you guys for doing that, but I didn't read it, I didn't see it, didn't upload it. I got no idea. Thank you for that though, I appreciate it. But that place. I mean, I enjoy the memes and all that stuff, so that's a different topic. That's been discussed already on the Pylon show. But just the amount of people that say so and so is imbalanced and this game is retarded and game design shit. Also, I haven't played since Wings of Liberty. It's just too damn high. It's just insane. Anytime I've made the mistake of jumping into a discussion with those people, because I like discussion, I like debate. I love sitting there and having data with someone else's data and putting it together and trying to, change my opinion. I'm always open to changing my opinion, and hopefully, the other person is too. But I've never found that. Every time I've tried to, so it's just I've stopped trying, man. I've stopped trying. Even like my Twitch chat's basically the only place I'll ever talk to someone about balance or game design, because it's usually a place where there's going to be less chance of some idiot. There'll be someone I know, or someone that's like a Twitch name I recognize, or something like that. It's so hard to just have a regular, mature discourse about the video game. and just put, like, people get emotional. I get it. People are very, very, especially about game balance. They're very, very, very outspoken. I get it. But just take a chill, Bill, dudes. We've had one tournament in 2020. There's been patches, map pool, etc. All that's changed. Are we going to really sit here and say that there's been enough time in a new map pool with a new patch and one premier tournament that Zerg is imbalanced? When we had all 4 races in the top 4 of IEM Katowice, if you want to talk about one tournament, it seems pretty balanced to me. Then, if we want to talk about the semifinals,
yeah.
That's a good rant. That's a good rant, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on my soundboard, man. Like next time somebody says anything, I'll just clip that 3-minute speech. For me, Dan,
I'm out. I'm done.
No, that was good. Like, I do get that people get sick and tired of seeing Zerg win. Like, I can actually get behind that. I also think it goes a little bit too far when somebody takes a little clip from Lambo's stream, where in my opinion, Lambo didn't say anything unreasonable. Lambo just said that, like, this was the first tournament of the year. There's a different patch. He feel like it had an impact. Then people are like, shut the fuck up, Lambo. You fucking drink and smoke all day. You suck. And I'm just like, and I'm like, okay, that goes a little bit too far, because everything that Lambo said in his clip, he basically said that he felt any of the games he watched weren't really won by Zerg imbalance. He just felt like, yeah, Rogue happened to win, but you were 1 map away from not having a Zerg in the final. I felt it was less bad than last year. But I also understand some of the whine that, yes, Zerg did end up winning again. And I especially felt towards, I mean, in the middle and end of 2019, I was like, man, TVZ fucking sucks, okay? I was like, I want to be hyped for my, and my Maru games, but they're not going to win. And that fucking sucks. Like, that's a horrible feeling. And I obviously don't want that feeling. I didn't really have that feeling this event. But I also think, like, let's say, maybe the patch wasn't enough, right? Like, I'm speculating right now. These are not facts, because I feel like it goes too far to draw these facts after just one proper tournament on this patch. But maybe we shouldn't be so afraid to go a little further. And, like, let's say, like, you heard Zerg a little bit more, and maybe we end up in a situation where Zerg is actually clearly the weakest of the 3 races. Would that really be the end of the world to finally see, like, a non-Zerg final? Is that what we want? No, we want it to be totally fair. But I feel like Zerg has been on the good side of it for a while, that maybe it is time to make some more drastic changes. And if you go too far, then, okay, that sucks. Maybe a tournament happens and maybe that sucks. But maybe, like, just taking, like, these tiny little baby steps, it is not good to see Zerg win over and over and over again. And whether Zerg won or not this time because of balance or imbalance, I don't know. I didn't have the feeling. I was like, man, Zerg is fucking in by this event. Like, I did not have that feeling. Not the same as I had last year. Yeah. But it is a fact that Zerg did end up winning again.
Definitely by BlizzCon last year, I was getting that feeling a lot, where I'm like, these games are stupid. I don't even know what this guy could have done. These Zergs are just killing. And I didn't feel that as much in this tournament for sure. And I definitely think that Zergs are winning too many tournaments. But at the same time, I think you have to take into consideration who the best players are.
Yeah, but
because like Sara is the best. Yeah. Right. Like no. Hold on. Okay. Sara, like, I'm not even talking about just like his mechanics are there, but I don't think anyone's mechanically necessarily better than him. Like, there's players on his level like Soon Innovation and stuff, but he's like right up there. But like his decision making, man, like fucking, I see way more mistakes out of the players. So for me, I feel like Sarah's the best, and he's a huge chunk of those wins. So I don't want to, we have that in StarCraft 1 where it's like Flash wins so many tournaments and Terrence can't even get into the second round of the tournaments, but he'll just win, right? Over and over and over, because he's the best and everyone knows it. And it's just like, yeah, it's not a racial thing. It's him. So I think you have to look a little bit deeper than just the champions and more like, okay, who else? Is it a top 4 of all Zergs? Is it a top 8 of all Zergs at that point? Then I would be a little bit more worried.
No, of course.
But like watching Sara win tournaments, I'm like, well, is there someone that's consistently making better decisions than Sara? I don't know about that.
No, I'm with you, but then in Korea, like Dark or Rogue keeps winning, and then like that becomes slightly harder to defend, right? Because I think it's very possible, and obviously I'm on the train that like Sara is indeed the best, so Sara should win, especially every tournament that doesn't have any Koreans in it. Sara should win those, and that doesn't mean Zerg is in balance. I do feel like the WCS events in the past, we had way too many fucking Zerg in the round of 8. Okay, like it can be a coincidence. Like I don't know. I've been looking at a couple of little things as well. Like I had high hopes for like Hero Marine, Uthermal, and Clem coming into this tournament, and the fact that all 3 of them failed to qualify for the round of 24, I don't think like that's skill. I also don't want to necessarily say like, oh, it's balanced, but maybe like people were talking about like, can we do something about Terran? I do feel like over the years, Protoss had a couple of nice quality of life changes and stuff like that, right? Maybe we can go into that direction with not necessarily even buffing Terran, but giving them a few little things that makes their race slightly easier, like them, like maybe queue up, swap add-ons and stuff like that, right? I was reading about that. And I was like, I can actually get behind that, just so Terran can look a little more at their army and a little less at the stupid shit, like switching a factory and a starport or something like that. Just these little things. I don't know. Like this tournament was a bit tricky because there wasn't an overwhelming amount of Zergs in the playoffs, but then you also have Solar being eliminated by Dark, and then Dark is eliminated by Rogue, and that doesn't tell us that much, right? Like, yeah, Sara will be Inno, but I feel like that could happen. Like that's obviously not screaming imbalance, but if they're winning in both regions and they have like, obviously 2019 is not a good argument for 2020. But do we really want to continue like this? Do we really want to like wait until the next big tournament is done and then we look at each other like, turned out those Zergs are still a little too good? Like that would be bad, right? Because they have been winning for a fucking long time now.
So do you think that maps don't matter at all? Because you didn't bring up maps much. You're just talking about like the design of the races and stuff.
I just want to say, like, I want to get this in before we never talk about this. I'm freaking pissed that we're only getting 3 new maps, by the way. Like, this is some bullshit. This map pool has been around for, like, freaking forever. We now have no big tournament in the next 2 months. Like, I don't know when Super Tournament starts. Why is Blizzard always, like, so afraid to do something crazy? Give us 7 new maps. Like, TOMC 14 is literally done, and now we're getting maps of TLMC 13. Like, I don't often get pissed, but I'm fucking pissed because I don't want to play 4 more months on freaking Zen. Like, Zen sucks dick anyway. Sorry, guys, but it really does suck. And then, like, the other 3 maps that we've already seen a million times, just one time, guys, we have been being so safe with StarCraft in everything, like balance and changes for the last 10 years. Can we just once get 7 new maps? Oh, yeah, maybe somebody wins the next ESL Weekly that shouldn't win the next ESL Weekly. Well, who really gives a flying fuck? Can we just one time be a little more risky with this game? Like, please. Oh, but yeah, anyway, to talk about maps and balance, it could have an impact, Maynard. I don't know. Whatever. Sorry.
Just one of the extra things to bring up is that the map pool has changed relatively recently, and since then we haven't had any big tournaments.
What? I feel like this one has been around for like 4 or 5 months. I've played thousands of games on these maps, okay?
Yeah, but there hasn't been a big tournament in these maps until just now.
Yeah, I know, but that's why
it was 3 or 4 months ago. Was the which was a super Zerg favored map pool for sure. Yeah, the last one.
I don't know.
But
I want new maps. I'm sorry.
I'm with you. No, hey, I'm with you, man. I think that I'm definitely on the same side where I think that being safe and being conservative with the game is not the way to keep the game around for a long time and have any chance of it blowing up ever again. Making big risky changes, I think, is actually if you're going to have a shot to make StarCraft grow, I think that's one of the ways to do it.
Like nobody is like incredibly pumped to play 4 more months on obviously Zen, and what are the other 3 that stick around? Like Nightshade is all right, I guess.
Nightshade's all right, yeah. I think they took Ephemeron out.
Triton and World of Sleepers.
I think Triton. I think World of Sleepers is gone. Triton's gone.
So we have Simulacrum. Like, it's not that these maps are that bad, but now we have been playing so much on them, and we just had the biggest tournament of the year. If you ever want to do something crazy, like start off with a brand new fresh map pool, this is literally like the perfect moment for it. And it just like, it makes me sad that we're always so safe.
Yeah, just even the fact that it was 3 instead, like obviously I would also love 7, but just even the fact that it was like 3 instead of 4, like you can literally veto every single map. That's like how few new maps there are.
I feel like that wasn't the case previously, because there would be a new map pool and I used to be able to veto all the old ones and only play new maps.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% correct.
So,
actually, sorry guys, I made us go off topic. You guys were talking about Zerg balance. I'm sorry.
I think the maps matter. That was all my point was the maps weren't brought up during your speech about, like, maybe something should be done about Zerg, or maybe we should pay close attention to it and not let it go on. If there is something wrong with it, we should really make sure it doesn't plague the next DreamHack Masters or GSL Code S or whatever.
Don't play Nidus versus Nidus Swarm Host on Golden Wall then next season, because you're gonna have fun with that.
Oh boy.
An entire unreachable area below your main base that you have to mine out the minerals for, or they'll just Nida storm host you and you can't do anything.
Yeah.
Yep. I've seen that.
I guess as far as the balance thing goes, though, like, yeah, we've had a lot of talks on this show about maps affecting balance. So I definitely think that has something to do with it. But I would like some sort of little patch coming up. I want to see Terrans do something. Every tournament I cast, or watch, I never feel like Terrans are going to do anything. I like Terran players, I want to see TY and Innovation and Maru do well, and I want to see, Hero Marine win something other than an ESL Cup. Yeah. These are exciting, good players, and it feels like they can get some big wins and get an okay finish, but it doesn't ever feel like I'm thinking they might be champion.
And the other thing is, like, I feel like IEM Katowice specifically was very, very close to Maru being champion. I think that if he beat Rogue, I don't think he would have lost to Zest, and then Maru would have been champ. But then people would once again just be like, "Well, Maru is the only one that's ever been a champion in the last 2 years from Terran."
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
And really, you can't argue. He's been the guy, So, yeah.
You know what I would like?
I'm a Terran player. You give my race a buff, I ain't gonna complain about it. That's all I need. It's fine.
I would like it if they actually make it so only active creep tumors provide vision. Like I feel like one of the main reasons why Zork has been doing so long is simply because they see too much, and the vision is insane that creep has. And I know creep got nerfed like a tiny bit, but now sometimes the creamer gets stenciled. It is a big change, but it's a change that I would.
Well, hold on, because I saw a lot of people when that tumor change was coming in, where they're like, "This is the end, it's over," and nothing's changed.
Well,
the fucking creep is just as far out as it's always been. Yeah, well, I'm just saying, a lot of people, a lot of Zergs they were upset about that. They were saying that was going to change everything. Didn't change anything. So you can nerf it more.
Actually, I guess I think creep is insane. Leave active tumors in the middle of your creep. You could literally spread like 7 or lay 7
but that
tumors.
Requires at least a little bit of thinking, Rafi. And also then if it gets cleaned up once, and then it's only, I think it would have an impact. Like just anything, like Terran has to do a lot of little annoying things. So yes, then Zerg actually needs to indeed leave a couple of active tumors there, but it makes it harder, and that's I think what we all want, right? I like the idea. I don't know.
Yeah. I like some of these ideas, like automating maybe some of the add-on swaps and then leaving active tumors for vision. Those are good ideas.
Thank you, Ben. Big brain.
Good.
I mean, the Terran thing wasn't mine. I read that on Reddit, and I was reading it. I was like, I can actually get behind that because Terran does indeed.
Oh, it was on Reddit. Here I was thinking that you're a genius. I'm like, oh, Rotterdam has got
the creep one is mine. The creep one is mine.
Actually, you didn't specifically mention it, but one thing I think would be interesting is would you say something about creep tumors having vision, or making the inactive ones not have vision and just the active creep tumors have vision?
Yes, only active creep tumors provide vision.
Yeah.
Or maybe only inactive ones so that you can't see the front of your creep.
That would be very annoying.
Yeah, you have to send a link up there to spread them. How sick would that be? Oh, hey, that would actually really make the creep spread a lot harder.
Then I don't think we're going to see the first 3 bases ever connected, maybe.
Yeah, maybe not. All right, any other thoughts? Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say that I fight Balance Wine, but as someone that lived through all of 2019 as a giant StarCraft 2 fan, if they nerf Zerg to the ground for a year and they don't win anything for the next 8 months, I wouldn't be super upset.
PvT is pretty fun.
PvT is great.
All right. All right. Any other thoughts on the balance stuff before we go to the Patreon questions?
I love that in Twitch. Like I normally don't read Twitch, but it's like, how do you expect Zerg to have any vision if creep doesn't help out? I was like, I don't know. What about
the same way the other races have it?
Yeah. What about the half fly unit that runs at the speed of light and the flying depots? I mean, I think that's already a pretty good start that the other races don't have. Like, that's amazing. But
yeah. Very, very true. Okay. Well, thank you guys. Very good conversation. We're going to jump into the Patreon questions, guys. If you want to leave a question for this wonderful group of fellas, check out patreon.com/The Pylon Show. And then you'll go to thepylonshow.com to drop off your question. Okay, here we go. Zip asks, What are the most memorable come from behind wins you've seen, either in tournaments or in your own games?
I mean, TY's Cure game 2 was pretty sick. I was talking about that earlier.
That was pretty
That was
sick.
a pretty amazing comeback from TY.
At Home Story Cup, some of those the like Parting Cure, was it?
Parting Cure, yeah. It was
That
on
was
Ephemeron,
sick.
I think.
That was such a good one.
Yeah, Parting Cure on Ephemeron. I remember walking my dog and listening to that on like my phone on Bluetooth and just stopping walking the dog because I'm like, sit. I'm like, just wanted to sit down and like take my phone out my pocket and like watch it again because I'm like, oh, this game's going insane. Yeah.
I can see you doing that like on a dog walk. Someone comes out of their house and yells at your dog, "Get your Maynard off my grass!"
At my dog. Someone needs to get off the. Yeah, okay. Who's walking who? I get it. It's funny. I think that those two series is definitely those two games come to mind. The specific comeback from Cure and TY. Cure.
Cool.
Both Cure games.
I feel like I used to have a default answer of like there was like some Tasia match or something that was like he had 0 workers and like 5 supply and came back. I can't remember what it was anymore though. If I'm allowed to stop my own games, I would say like 60% of my Blink DT all-in games, I come back from 140 supply down.
Damn.
That's pretty fun.
I mean, obviously, if you go just over last tournament, I thought Showtime Game 3 against Hero Marine, I thought he was super dead there. And then obviously that PvP that I went on about between Deer and Zest on World of Sleepers, like that was ridiculous. It should have never happened. I also think like a sick comeback was the Rainer against Saro game on Thunderbird back then, like because it really felt like it was just getting beat down and outplayed, and then like the ultimate YOLO lurker up the ramp. Yeah, I thought that was sick.
I don't know if it's. I feel like it was a comeback. Maybe you can correct me, Roddy, because you got your big encyclopedia brain. But Rainer Classic on Lost and Found from GSL.
That was all over the place. That was a roller coaster with 17 loopings, man. That was one of the best games of that year, by the way. One of my absolute favorite games.
When that game ended, I'm like, I think that's the best CVP I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like the 9 years of StarCraft. That was like Rainer's 16th birthday as well. I think there was like both players were losing and coming back and losing and coming back. Like it was just, it was insane.
I think I know.
You guys are like.
It was it was True versus Cyril from 2017 Valencia. I remember losing my freaking mind because at the time, like everyone was just doing Roach versus Roach, and then True was just like unbelievably dead, but he just started using mutas and lings in a really weird, stupid way. Like there'd be like a clump of 15 roaches on a ramp, and True would A-move like 80 Zerglings in with no micro, and he would somehow still win that
fight. Like True.
It was the stupidest thing ever, but he somehow came back from like a massive deficit. That was so much fun.
I also thought the Raynor against Saro game on Disco Bloodbath of BlizzCon, right? Like that was pretty sick.
That was a big comeback for sure. Yeah. The heartbreaker for everyone in the community. Was Ultras the right call from Cyril?
I mean, if they're not stocky and natural, they're pretty good.
All right. Thank you for the question, Zip. A good one. Pulse Reaction asks, yo, great humans, do you think that a big shakeup in the vein of adding and removing units every couple of seasons would be cool? Beastie Cutie discusses this in his latest video. Least of all, a brawl mode for StarCraft 2 with campaign or Brood War units added in place of certain specific ones. What do you think?
I'm not on board with adding and removing units, but I would love for just some like queue up kind of mode where you can play 1v1 or whatever with some weird add-on of like, I mean, they literally created all the engineering systems for this already of play a game with a mod, wandering minerals, or all the zombie stuff. Like if they had just made like a kind of queued up ladder or a fun weekly thing that rotates, I thought that would be really fun and cool.
I would like. I wouldn't like new units to be added to the game, but I would like unit redesigns that are currently like units that are in StarCraft 2 that could be changed a little bit here and there. I think that the last year patch wasn't big enough to really shake up the game. And I was a really big fan of, for instance, like I know things weren't very well balanced when it first popped out, but getting rid of the mothership core and including shield batteries, bam, that's a pretty massive change. Like you said, Dan, that quality of life thing for Terran, maybe reactor and tech lab isn't a thing anymore, and it's just like one add-on that does everything. you know, that's a massive.
Oh,
buff to
Maynard,
Terran.
don't go too far there.
That's a
Don't go
massive
too
buff to
far.
Terran. Yeah,
I can tell what race you play, my friend.
No, I'm spitballing. I'm not saying this is good. I mean, this is an example of level of change that I think could be. I mean, it brings back. It's one of those things where the super old Salt Brood War fans like yourself are going to want the game to be exactly the same for the next 20 years and only have map pool change. But modern gamers, the people that have like left StarCraft 2 because it's just too same, they'll come back. Like a lot of people came back, not only with free to play, but also when the Mothership Core went away. They're just like, oh shit, you know, it's a new.
I never understood that hate for the Mothership Core. Like, I wasn't in love with the unit, but like, I really don't understand it because I actually feel like Protoss became easier. Like the other races don't know this, but I actually think Protoss became easier when they removed the Mothership Core. Because the Mothership Core, if you would F2 it would all the way fly over the other side of the map, and you would keep losing it over and over again. And Terran players were really good at like dropping on the edge of pylons. Now you have a shield battery that just sits there, and basically you can take 16 shots from a Banshee before you lose anything. I feel like Protoss became easier, but to answer the question, I don't think like removing units is good. I don't really see the point of like removing units every few months. What I do have always thought is that like Blizzard's approach with Starcraft 2 for the longest time has been that they don't want to have too many units because they don't want to have any units in the game that don't often get used. I don't really understand what the reasoning is behind that. Like, let there be a couple units that are not popular for a while because they are weak in the current patch, whatever. Is that such a big issue? Like, people can still have fun with them. People can still make them on the ladder. You can still do your weird donkey builds with them. And then eventually, if units really don't get used, you can buff those units a little bit and nerf other units. Like, I never really understood, like, no, every unit must be used, like, all the time. I think it's totally fine to have units that are not that popular.
I don't think it's, I think their philosophy is not that it's that every unit has to be used. My understanding was the philosophy was always that they don't want units to have overlap with other existing units. They don't want it to ever be like a point where you're saying, well, these units have very, very mild differences. So why would you ever make this like unit A when you could make unit B? That's what I always thought it was.
I think it may be both. It was told differently to me in the past, but I think even if that is the case, let's say we go with your example, I still think that's cool. Like, I would like to have two units, even if they're somewhat similar. There's always going to be a difference, and there's going to be some moments where unit A is better, some moments where unit B is better, and it looks cool to see more different stuff. Like, I don't know. I think more variation is good, and I would definitely never be against more units. I don't see the point in removing units, though. I think that's weird.
Okay. Thanks for the question. Pulse reaction from Lightning Lin. Do you guys not feel like we should incentivize people to upgrade more hatcheries? My suggestion would be that spore crawlers that are placed close to a layer receive +1 range, and any spine crawler close to a hive gets +2 armor. Other suggestions, please.
Ooh. I mean, that seems a little nuts, but I actually I have seen it at professional level, specifically in ZVZ. People will get a extra layer here and there just for extra hit points. But I can't think of something that would make you get the better command structure. Like it seems like such a non-issue to me.
Guys, overlords above a layer +4 armor, you know, just to protect them against the better.
Overlord sitting over a hive for a few minutes becomes a Leviathan.
That'd be amazing.
They literally call Cthulhu down from the stars, and it just eats the other races and becomes the void. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh my god, you proxy hatch, but you proxy hatch a layer.
Yeah, you proxy hatch a lore and you call fucking Azathoth from the skies, and he just eats all the other races.
Fucking Bly wins Katowice 2021.
Yeah.
Yes,
Bly wins. It's the future champion.
I feel like the idea behind it might be making the expansions more expensive for Zerg. So like, how do you like? Could there be something like that?
But that's what Zerg is.
Make a hatchery next to the 4th base. It has to cost gas too, or something like that. You know what I mean?
What?
More investment into your side.
You have to build. You have to use a drone to build something on the mineral patches to start mining.
But see,
that's the Zerg way.
But if you're not up a base as a Zerg, you're kind of getting fucked by the other race. You know, if you're a 3-hatch Zerg against a 3-base Terran.
Also, can I just say one thing, Roddy? No offense. one thing I really like about StarCraft that I hate about Warcraft 3 is that we don't have like auras and random other things, because when I watch like a lot of like Warcraft 3, or like if I watch I used to watch like Diablo 2 PvP and stuff, and I'd just be like, I cannot keep track of both the battle and all of the different auras that are going on and what the range is on everything. I'm really appreciative that we don't have these little like range of auras for things that buff or decrease. Like when we have a buff, like something that helps units or like makes the unit worse, it's literally just like, oh, the entire army is orange. I know all the units affected by this. I like that StarCraft is very clean and clear in a visual standpoint from that.
Look.
Yeah, Roddy, what do you think about that?
Yeah, fuck Warcraft 3.
You go. Why isn't StarCraft 2 Warcraft 3? Please respond.
I actually think Warcraft 3 is pretty clear. To be honest, the new graphics are a little bit confusing, but I think traditional Warcraft 3 auras are honestly like, it's pretty obvious which hero. Like there's only 7 auras or something, and you recognize them very quickly. Now I think if you're talking about like Dota and you're talking about like 100 different items and everybody has like shiny weapons, like I love Dota. I think it's a sick esport, but I have trouble watching those fights, because there's like so much shit happening. I think Warcraft 3 is pretty clean, to be honest, but maybe not
compared to those games for sure.
Yeah, compared to those games. And like my context is I played Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos and Frozen Throne for like 4 or 5 years as a kid. And then I didn't really play esports, but I like would follow Grubby a little bit, and I knew a little bit about Moon and stuff. So like it's not like I'm completely fresh and have zero experience with Warcraft 3, but I go back and I try and watch some of the games, and I watch Todd play a stream a lot, and I'm like, I still actually have no idea a lot of these little subtleties that are going on with the auras and stuff. And I don't even mean like subtleties of the play. Huh?
The thing is, like certain heroes only have one aura. Well, actually, every hero only has one aura. There are items where you can pick up auras, like from certain crypt camps. So sometimes a hero will have 2 auras, but I mean, it's basically just that if you know the heroes, you know which aura the heroes have. And other than that, you take a look at the inventory and you'll see what's going on. I don't think it's that confusing, but I do agree that StarCraft is very clear. Besides, I don't understand why you use Seeker Missile, because Seeker Missile is like the only thing that makes this game not clear.
I'm totally with you. Actually, I feel like I regret even using that as an example, because Seeker Missile is one of the things I hated the most. Of the like, they made this like weird design. I can't even remember. It was like 2015 or 2016. They started introducing things that they never would have done before, where it's like, here is an ability that affects random numbers that are not very clear. It's like the units turn orange. It's like, the fuck does that mean if you don't know what StarCraft is? But like, storm, electricity, boom, cool. Things die in this area, like easy to understand. But like StarCraft started doing things that are not actually super clear and obvious.
Yeah, because it actually goes on both units as well. And then like that TVT battle, right? Before they went into the main, everything was orange, mate. Like I was like, I don't even know who's winning this right now.
Yeah. By the way, a lot of people were like, how did TY win that fight? The answer was interference matrix. For everyone that's still wondering. There was a Raven advantage for TY, and a lot of QS PCs were locked down. I feel like the Dorito dust thing actually doesn't make that much of a difference. Like it's meant to. The numbers are pretty insane on paper, but I see a lot of
people avoid.
People
avoid the fights though. I think that's part of why it doesn't seem to make much of a difference. Because like once you get hit by it, you're like, okay, back up.
And you also haven't been hit by Dorito dust and then hallucinated Phoenix come in and kill all your stuff.
But no, like to go back, Ravi's completely correct. We should all have shields and every and buffs and debuffs and stuns up to wazoo, and every character should have an ultimate, and it should be Overwatch.
Can we just go first person?
Amazing.
Please?
Yeah, let's make it a team-based shooter. I'm sure it'll be great because Overwatch isn't confusing at all to watch as an esport.
Every time I see pictures of like a stadium full of people watching Overwatch, I'm like, that's sick. Like, what are they watching? Yeah, it's like I feel like whenever I'm watching Overwatch, I'm like looking around to see if I get one of those 3D glasses you get in the cinema or something. It's like now I can follow it actually.
Oh my god, that's exactly so. Because like Kev, you were at the Burbank studios with me sometimes for the Challenger stuff, and like the Overwatch stuff is right next to us. So sometimes there's like a few times I went over to the Overwatch stadium and I'm literally just surrounded by people going nuts, and I'm like, wow, whatever they're watching must be really exciting. I can technically see it too, but I don't understand it.
I went to the studio once, and I gotta say, I loved everything about it. Obviously, like
Yeah.
the studio looked fucking amazing, and obviously they have like a cool little room where you can get snacks and drinks. I loved everything, and I sat down to watch 2 maps, and I was like, man, like, give me Locust Wormhole ZVZ over this any day of the week.
Oh, wow.
Because at least
That's a
I know
glowing
who's
review.
winning those fights. You know what I mean?
That is a glowing review.
I think Zombie Grub's my favorite quote from Zombie Grub on it was, "The best part of Overwatch League is anytime the games aren't on."
Awesome.
Poof.
Because it's just like there's actually so much cool stuff going on the Overwatch League broadcast, like the analyst desk and all the random things that they show. But
And most StarCraft people don't give a shit about this game.
that's
so.
also true. We are all
Yeah.
very biased in this.
Is Cobra bringing up Project or Valorant, the Valorant games? Guys, I don't know if you guys know, but I have gone from professional Valorant player picked up by a team to retired Valorant veteran, all in the space of a day. I'm an ex-Valorant pro.
It's time to retire your
jersey. I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm
time to retire your
What's your
Valorant.
number,
actually,
man?
I just gave it to a fan out in the street. Like I was at the supermarket, and the fan was just like, "Oh, you're my favorite Valorant player. You were the best player for like 6 hours." Like, yeah, man, here, have my shirt. Let's give it to him, and then put the StarCraft one back on. It's a real
Good
pleasure to
of you.
be back in the StarCraft, guys. It's good to be home, you know.
Yeah. Well, welcome back. All right, thank you
good
for
to be
the question there, Lightning Lynn. I don't know if we really answered it.
What was the question?
Excellent.
What was the question?
They asked if it would be cool if we could have layers upgrade and then nearby spine cores.
How did we get
like,
to
would
this
get a plus
from there?
range.
Oh my god, we're stupid.
Yes.
Holy crap.
All right.
That's amazing.
Black Faust asks, a Diamond 1 Masters 3 Zerg player joined my team. He didn't want to use spellcasters. He hates them and doesn't play what he doesn't like. My first thought and assumption was he won't advance any further if he doesn't start to use them. Thoughts? He said, printed $10 out of thin air with old coupons down to episode 60. You can too. That's right, guys. Go print money for us over in the Naturino. But what do you guys think about a player who refuses to make spellcasters?
Straight up false. You can get way past Diamond 1 and
You
Masters
can win
3
Katowice.
with-
I was going to say, Sue is a Katowice champion, and he has never made spellcasters in his life. And the couple times he has done it, I'm sure are misclicks. Because they don't
Do
get
Banelings
used.
count as spellcasters? Because they have the
I think
explode
he
spell.
thinks the Vipers attack because normally they just go in with the Corruptors and die.
That's correct.
So-
That's correct. Yeah. And he like makes 2 or 3 infestors, and they walk into the battle and just die to BCs or something like that. Yeah. So
Like a realistic answer, obviously, is that you can be incredibly good without ever using infestors or vipers. Like you can be probably top 20 GM player, in all honesty, if you're super good with all the other units. But if you really want to go all the way, if you want to be the best, you need to use them. But I actually I don't really mind people that are in much lower leagues that play their own way and play what they enjoy.
yeah,
Because I do
I agree.
believe you improve a lot faster if you play with what you like rather than play what you're supposed to. Because who is who to tell you how to play StarCraft, right? Like people can play StarCraft in their own freaking way for as long as you want, as long as you understand that you are going to face some armies where you need spellcasters, and if you lose those games, you shouldn't blame the game. You should blame yourself for not making the correct choices.
Hard agree. Like eventually you're going to face good players, and the good players are not going to let you get away with your bullshit. You know, you have to come up with some new bullshit, some new hotness. But hopefully by then you've got the mechanics to be able to do that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your support in the question, Black Faust. Polly asks, after the meme discussion on Reddit, now the balance discussion taking over again, what is your input in that regard? Zerg won a lot of terms in the last years. Zerg players are the better players or still the more powerful race, a combination of both? Well, I guess we already really answered
kind
this.
of did that one.
Thank you for bringing that up, Polly. There you go. Saint Zero asks, what is your pet unit in your main race? The thing that you use far too much and enjoy far too much to really even justify it. Oh, Roddy justifies his, but we'll get into that in a second. Share a non-meta build where that unit really shines. What do you think your pet unit would be if you played the other races seriously instead? Have you enjoyed a shower beer? All right, so we have 3 questions here. So, Roddy, you justify the Phoenix pretty strongly, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I also I'm very well aware though that there is a difference between me and players that are better than me. I always point it out. But yeah, I love Phoenixes. The reason why is that I hate playing against other units if I don't make the Phoenix. Like I hate Muda Harass with all my heart. And like if Mudas weren't part of the game, I would play a whole lot less Phoenix. I'll guarantee you that. But I cannot be bothered like chasing mutas with like a War Prism and an Arco. Like,
I know, it's terrible.
if I was Zerg, I'd probably be a muta player for sure, because then I would actually love that. I'd be a muta corrupted kind of guy. If I was Terran, I don't know. I honestly probably just build Marines all the time. And have I enjoyed the shower beer? Absolutely. They're sick.
Yeah. Shower beers are good. What is your guys' pet units?
Pet unit in my main race. I guess it's not really meta anymore, but it was a fun window of about a few months where I was having a really great time in TVZ. Is the Ghost. I fucking love the Ghost, and Ghost Hellbat was the most fun I've probably ever had in TVZ in a really long time. The Ghost Hellbat push. I love that unit so much. I wish I was better at using it. It also, of course, has the added factor of bringing the greatest spell in StarCraft 2 if you can land it. And then if I played the other races seriously, I think for Zerg, my spirit animal would probably be the Queen, because I feel like I can get pretty far with that. And for Protoss, it has to be the Disruptor. Disruptor is my favorite unit in this Protoss race. I know a lot of people, that seems counterintuitive because I'm a Terran player and everyone is all like, oh, PvT, oh no, Disruptor. But I actually find the Disruptor a really like fucking hype unit. And whenever I've played Protoss and off-raced, I've never had more fun than playing like Blink Disruptor. I think that's so fun. And shower beer, absolutely. I think I had a shower beer like 2 days ago.
Excellent.
So yeah.
For me, I think most people would just assume it was Dark Templar for me, but actually my favorite unit in StarCraft is actually the High Templar by like a good margin. Believe it or not, the only reason why I started doing the Mass DT thing started because I got paired up in the caster tournament versus Yogo, and I'm like, well, I'm fucked. So I came up with a strategy, and then after that, people were also just sleeping on Blink DTs, so I started doing propaganda for them. But actually, High Templars have always been my like favorite unit. I love Storm, and my advice for anyone that is a Protoss player below Diamond 3, if you ever struggle versus a Terran player, go like 1 gate Twilight Council Templar Archives and chrono out Storm, and then all you have to do is just start expanding really quickly. And don't even like you get like 3 or 4 zealots, but then have like 16 High Templar. You will win 89% of your
Cut him
games.
off, guys. Cut him off.
Like the amount of salt you will get from Terran players when you just have like 14 storms available.
I have a
ridiculous.
counter question. What if the Terran makes any factory units?
Oh, I storm them anyways. I still kill them.
Like if they show up with like 10 siege tanks or something like that, you're just like.
What if I mean, you have a few zealots over there. If they show up with 10 siege tanks, then yeah, you're adding on charge lots and stuff.
Well, let's just throw in some Archons as well. Let's throw in some carriers.
No, you don't make Archons.
You said High Templar, pure High Templar is what you were saying.
I said like in the early, I said 1 gate, like open up and expand into really fast High Templar. But after that, yeah, of course you're gonna.
So what if the Terran shows up with like four Hellions and like a couple Cyclones or something?
Dude, half the time I don't even make stalkers. Like there are liberators over there. I'm just gonna walk past them.
What if they make Marauders?
I storm them. I have 16 High Templar main art.
He's got all the answers.
I guess. I'm just shit out of luck.
Yeah,
he's used to playing against like 8
I'm the asshole.
He just doesn't know.
Right.
You don't understand, Maynard. Actually, Maynard, you should understand.
I clearly don't understand.
This is the world of Diamond 3 and below Terran players. Like that world is so different. Okay.
I think we talked about this thread that somebody made on Team Liquid the other day, where he's like, okay, I don't know why nobody does this at pro level. I'm only Diamond, but I go 1 gate fast expand. You make charge, and you just chrono boost that charge immediately. Then you go 3 gate with a proxy gate, and you just rally zealots into the natural, and you keep on expanding at home. This literally always works. And I'm Diamond 3, so imagine if a pro player would do it. And I'm just like imagining how this guy is just like rallying zealot after zealot. And I can like, and don't get me wrong, I can see why he thinks it's good, but it's just really funny that he actually thinks there is just no way to beat this. I was like, well, you know, someone's gonna have a bunker and a couple of CPs on the other repair, and that's gonna sting. But I love the idea. He's like, no, and then people are like, yeah, but what if this happens? He's like, more zealots. Like, I
love that.
I love it.
Okay,
it's amazing.
All
right.
Yeah. Just to be clear, I'm not saying this works at high level. I'm just saying that Diamond 3 Terrans and below cannot split for shit. They literally do not understand how to split.
That's a completely different point. You actually had a build order, man. You were saying 1 gate.
Yeah,
Twilight
this
Council,
is how you exploit it. You will lose 11% of your games that a Terran player does some random other like aggressive BS. But
Okay. All right.
Excellent. All right.
And yes, I've had a
guys.
shower
Thank you
beer.
for the question. Yes.
And yes, he's had a shower beer. Yeah.
Everyone's tried that. All right. Some drunk Canadian asks, what is the one small flaw in your SC2 play that, if corrected, would lead to the biggest improvement in your gameplay / increase in MMR?
Oh my God.
If you were a sentient beer, what type of beer would you be? A lager, a pilsner, an IPA, a stout? Cheers from the West Coast, the best coast. So, first up, if you were a sentient beer, what type of beer would you be, Roddy? He left it here for you 100%.
A lager. I don't know. Like I don't know what to do with those questions. I mean, I can answer the part about the small flaw.
Please.
It's funny because I obviously know that one of my flaws is that I F2 too much, but I also feel like it's one of my strengths because the way I use F2 is actually really smart when I like add phoenixes to my group without having to look at my phoenix. So I can always look at my phoenix on the other side of the map. So I think in that way it's smart, but then in a bad way, I feel like sometimes I F2 so much that I pull back my zealot run by and shit like that. So I think that's bad. And I think other than that, I know that I can maybe hit certain transitions like a little bit quicker, and especially like in PvT. It's just that some army, I'm very uncomfortable with the idea of like just sitting back and letting either Zerg or Terran do whatever the hell they want. So I don't know. I hate having the slower units. That's why I like playing Phoenix against Zerg. Like if I was very good with Stalkers and Archons, I wouldn't be so afraid of Mutants, but I'm not good in that. And that's the same in PvP. Like I hate like having to deal with a War Prism and 2 Immortals. It's like, man, it's so painful when they can so easily outplay you. So I don't know. I guess I could improve that, but I'm stubborn and just build Phoenix instead.
Sure. You guys have any sticking points that are, if you fix, you'd go up a lot in MMR?
I had a couple streams in a row since I got back from Katowice, and both times, I mean, obviously I'm jet lagged, I'm tired, whatever. But the other problem is, every time I ladder in Starcraft, anytime I feel like playing ladder, I always turn the stream on because I feel like if I'm laddering by myself, I might play better, but I feel like it's a waste of time. Like I could be streaming, which always makes sense. But I find that I'm hyper aware that I'm a streamer, and I'm prioritizing being a streamer over the game. And I wish I had the ability to think about what I'm doing in the game and think about what I'm seeing and retain that. Like for some reason in the game, my brain, like everything is clear to me immediately after the game, but in the game I've got like horse blinders on, and I just wish I could take those away and just think about what's happening right now. Like there's a lot of times where I've scouted something, it's super obvious what it is, and I'm just like, I just don't react because I'm just not thinking. I'm just playing a build. Like I'm just doing a build auto. And I really wish that I could, it's obviously a bunch of mechanical things that would be nice, but to me right now at the forefront of my brain is the ability to actually correctly react to what I see and think a little bit more while streaming. I wish I could do that.
Cool. How about you, Fear Dragon?
I have a hard time with this one because I think I suck in so many ways, but I guess if I had to pick one, it would probably be, I'm very stuck with compositions that I like. So as I said before, if I'm up against like a guy that has like 14 Liberators, I'm just like, but I like Charge-Lot High Templar. So I'm going to keep making Charge-Lot High Templar. So, because I don't feel comfortable with like a lot of the other units. So that would probably be the biggest thing, is if I actually just started playing intelligently with units instead of just what I liked.
Sure. I think a lot of people are like that. Okay, thank you for the question. Paragleber asks, how do you feel about fans who travel far to an event just to be able to meet you there for a few minutes? I feel like if I had such fans, I would feel uneasy / guilty about it and worried that I couldn't make all the trouble worthwhile for them, or I would feel bad for having to end the conversation.
I mean, I don't think people in general travel all the way. Like, I've never told anybody that you should travel to Canada to spend 3 minutes with me at the event. Like, I think if you travel to an event, people come for the event, right? They come for the overall experience, to watch games, maybe to see some of their favorite players. And then they can obviously have a little chitty chat with us as well. I think a lot of us are very good about that. We'll always take our time, even if we had a long day. But I don't know, like, yeah, if somebody travels 20 hours to see me, but like, you know, I'll be there for a couple of minutes, but I can hardly promise to spend the evening with you and have dinner or something like that. Be kind of odd. So I don't really think this question makes sense.
You've never had anyone be like, "Oh, I really came to this event to meet you. I like wanted to meet you." Or
I mean,
something
like obviously, like they'll be like, "Hey, Roddy, it's so awesome, man! I really want to see you." But then they are still there with like 5 other bros, and they're
Yeah,
growing
Yeah,
out
and
and
it's
stuff.
still a tournament around every.
Yeah,
It's not just I'm going to this event because my entire goal in life is to meet Rotterdam. That's
yeah,
a
I
different
know.
kettle of fish.
It's like I drove 9 hours, man, all the way from Wisconsin to here. It's like I just want a picture. Roddy. It's like, take me out for dinner. It's like, no, that has never really happened. So no, I don't feel bad about that, because I actually feel like we go out of our way. Like we can often take a back entrance to leave, and we never do that. Like we always go to the front. We wait until everybody's happy, have a little chat, and I think that people will also understand that we cannot spend 3 hours with, even if it's only 20 people that want to hang out with us. Imagine 20 times 3 hours, right? There's 60 hours of our time. Obviously, we don't have 60 hours when we travel for work. So no.
Yeah. I've never been in that situation. If I was, hypothetically, I'm just thinking about it, like I'd feel a lot of pressure to be like, you know, whatever they wanted, and it wouldn't be comfortable for either of us. I don't think. But as far as like, I know that there was that married couple that went to IEM Katowice because they wanted to meet Cyril. It was actually their honeymoon. Hopefully, you know, I think that was for the tournament, but they definitely like made a big thing about like meeting Cyril, and you know, the happy ending is that they did. But these super sick Starcraft fans that for some reason wanted to spend their honeymoon. Could you imagine taking your wife on a honeymoon to a Starcraft tournament, Dan? Mine would have cut my nuts off and fed them to me if I took her to a Starcraft tournament for the honeymoon.
Yeah, my wife's not into Starcraft actually.
Yeah, so it wouldn't land well. Safe to say. This couple, I actually met them in person. Were so fucking excited. They were at the. You didn't get to meet them, Roddy, but they were at the CS:GO hotel at IEM Katowice, and they were like, the husband was down there, and he saw me, Pig, and Zombie Grub and Smix, and he's just like calling his wife. He's like, "Oh, you know, you better come downstairs. There's some people you'll want to meet." Not saying who. And she like came downstairs. Her hair was wet because she was having a shower and getting ready for bed. And she's just come downstairs, and she's like fucking shaking, man. She was so excited. And that's really
so
sweet. Yeah. That was actually one of the coolest things about the event as far as crowd goes. These super fans that flew over for it, and it was so awesome to meet them and get.
They
like,
were from Finland, right?
Yeah, two Finnish people.
So how did they not meet Sarah at Aces ROG? Like how?
I don't know.
Maybe they couldn't.
That wasn't their honeymoon.
It wasn't their honeymoon. Yeah, it was just a fucking regular day, man. It was just Aces ROG. Some day in July or August or whatever it was.
You know, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that if it was just for Cyril, I can't imagine how Cyril handled that. But I think they were just there for the tournament and for everything, because they're still like really excited to see the casters and stuff.
Yeah, like they'll be very happy to see like their favorite player or community member or whatever. But I think I get the idea of the question though, and I think it's like it's hard to live up to whatever expectation someone has of you. Sometimes I meet fans that are like really happy to see me and think I'm great, and I'm like, I am just this guy that likes StarCraft, you know?
Right.
It's like,
exactly.
I feel like very flattered and very happy, but it's like, well, you know, I just liked the game a little bit more than other people did, I guess.
A long time ago, there was actually a dude who showed up in my Twitch stream, and he's like, yeah, rather than pretends to be a nice guy, but he's actually a fucking dick. I met him at BlizzCon, and he hung out with us for like 2 minutes, but he basically just tried to get out of the conversation all the time. I was like, is this like a really advanced troll, or is this a true story? He's like, no, it's a true story. I was like, okay, well, tell me then, who were you? And like, let's see if I remember. And it was basically, I was with a group of people. I stopped to talk with people. The entire group of people that I was with, they were already moving on. This was like the last night. And I stayed there for like 2.5, 3 minutes. And then I caught up with the rest of my group. And then this dude basically said, like, he tried to get out of the conversation all the time. I was like having a chitty chat. I took pictures, and I was like, okay, guys, I do gotta go. But then like we kept speaking on about it. And he's like, I mean, I guess you work with other people before we stopped you. And I was like, yeah. And then he was actually like kind of nice about it all. But it's like, it does happen sometimes that you leave a bad impression, even though you really didn't mean to. But I think as long as people use some common sense, I think most of the time they'll know. whether or not we were actually nice and did our best.
Yeah. And I do want to echo what Roddy just said. All the time we'll be like all walking together to dinner and Roddy stops to talk to people and we're like, Roddy, come on, we're hungry. But
I'm another one. It very rarely happens because it's not.
So he's a dick to us by being too nice, but yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I did have one negative experience with Roddy once when I was a fan. I met him and I like wanted to tell him how cool he was in person, but I didn't want to be a douche about it and bother asking him for photos. And he said, "Oh, like you're doing now?" And I was kind of taken aback, and all I could say was, "Huh?" And he just kept cutting me off and kind of, please someone post the copy pasta for the rest of
that. All right. Thanks for the question, Paragleber. Optional player asks, during ASL, eCaster Extraordinaires Tastosis mentioned as Terran and Expand Goliath build is the easiest build to learn for beginners. What build would you say is the best to learn for beginners of each race and for both Brood War and StarCraft 2? I wonder if there's beer on the sun. Well, there's definitely not beer on the sun because it would just melt and evaporate. But
well, then the contents of what was a beer would still be on the sun because the gravity would pull it in.
Doesn't the sun burn?
I think it would break it down into something that's not beer.
Oh, we wouldn't consider it beer.
It would no longer be beer.
That's true. I can see that point.
But we're all made of stardust too, so like I guess the beer is still there.
Stardust is a Protoss player.
Do you guys have any ideas for build orders that are like really easy to learn? Because that's kind of the root of this question. Is there like a build where you're like, okay, this is, if you're a beginner, this is a good build where it's like a basic, easy thing?
I always say that when you're starting as a Terran, you just go 2-1-1 every single matchup. If you're a brand new player, I think it's a pretty easy thing to pull off and a pretty strong attack timing that'll kill a lot of people when you're leveling up as a Terran. And it's not like, I mean, you can turn it into a normal game afterwards if you do damage and don't end it. It's a pretty easy one to learn.
Okay.
There's a really great build that I know Roddy is also familiar with. If you go to twitch.tv/coconutgames with 2 Z's at the end, you'll learn about an awesome build called the Flower. And
oh my god.
if you want some easy ladder points, go look it up.
It's
basically 4-gate proxy zealot.
I've learned about the Flower.
Also, if you go to 1-gate Twilight Council Templar Archives versus Terran.
Oh man. Yeah, I would say there's like just very basic builds that are kind of safe against everything are the builds that you're going to want to go to as a beginner probably. That's why I mentioned on the Goliath build, it's just kind of safe and you just do it and there's not a lot going on. Like when there's builds like, oh, and then you fly in with the Oracle and then figure out if he has a Hydralisk Den, that's probably going to be a little bit more complex for a beginner. So you probably want to avoid something like that a little bit more often and go for something much more straightforward. Yeah, I don't have any builds off the top of my head, but that's kind of, I think, what makes a build easier for a beginner is not having to juggle too much. All right, thank you for the question. Hope that helps. All right, guys in the chat say, I saw Rotterdam at the grocery store in Los Angeles yesterday. What is this meme?
This is the meme.
That's the meme that Robbie, like when he started this story, he was like,
oh my god.
It's a good copy pasta.
That's excellent.
Solid.
Wow, you are a dick, Roddy. Nahyan asks, I don't have any questions, but I want to ask something. What should I do? You should watch the
Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah,
there you go.
Become a tier 3 sub, gift 100, and then think harder about next week.
Yeah. All right. Alessander, our very own, asks, a lot of people have started weekly tournaments this year. If you had guaranteed prize money, what kind of tournament would you have and what would make it unique?
Unique?
Yeah.
And she said, what kind of prize money would it have? I mean, if I had power, it'd be like hundreds of thousands of dollars because I'd want StarCraft 2 players to be paid and I'd want a big turnout of really good names.
Damn, you definitely would get that. You'd actually probably destroy the ESL Pro Tour.
I might even get Sara to sign up. It might be. It might even be that big. But yeah. So as far as what would I do to make it unique? I'm boring, man. I like 1v1. I like a pure tournament. I really like the The you know, I enjoy GSL format. I enjoy 1v1. I think we just go ham, but with a big prize pool and nice production value. Done.
Yeah. I generally just like 1 versus 1. Like, it's cool to see that people are enjoying things like 2 versus 2s and whatnot, but for me personally, I like the most competitive version. I want to see the real stuff.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on that?
Alessandra says my unique feature is Cyril. My unique feature is
And
having
an
so
online
much
cup.
money that Maro and Cyril actually sign up for my tournament and play in it, even though it's online. Yeah.
Nice. I'm not saying anything because I actually have ideas and I'm actually going to do them.
Ah, okay, no problem. All right, thank you for the question. Okay, Fear Dragon, you have a question. Why does Roddy not get paid enough to afford a green screen? Thanks, Big Snowflake drifting toward the face of Tasteless. Where's your green screen, Roddy?
I don't like green screens for StarCraft 2. It really triggers me to see like these floating heads go somewhat over the comments, somewhat not, and then people move. I just don't think it looked good in StarCraft. If I was streaming different games, I would absolutely use a green screen, but I don't see the point at all in StarCraft 2. Like, I like StarCraft 2 for how clean it is and how you can put everything in a box. That's what I love. And I don't like these floating bodies going like half over the stop command, half not, half blocking shit. It just triggers me, so I don't like it.
So what you're saying is you don't like the auras around people.
I just don't like a floating body on the screen.
Yeah. Got it.
As a green screen user, I find it actually does the opposite thing. I think it make it look very, very clean. It's like my interface is 99.9% game, and all that's there is my head.
Yeah, but like the thing is, like, it overlaps certain things, but then not completely. So it's like your shoulder is cutting off like a couple of comments. I just don't like that for StarCraft. I like things to be in a box.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Likes everything to be in a box. Okay.
Thank you.
Everything, Maynard. Everything.
Thanks, Fear Dragon, for your question. Saf Scissors asks, shout out to all the casters of IEM. As a group, it was one of the best casted events I've watched in recent memory. Thank you. All right.
You're welcome.
Pylon Show asks, type Q&A in the chat for the link. All right. Thank you, Pylon Show.
Thanks, Pylon Show.
VDeck asks, what do you think is needed to bring balance back to the tournament racial breakdowns? Is it up to players or Blizzard to fix this? Do you even think this is necessary? We pretty much talked about this, but do you guys think that Blizzard needs to do something or players need to do something? Like, do players just need to get good, or...
Terran players need to stop being lazy and practice hard.
Yeah. They just need to stop thinking that there's only one build in each matchup, man. They need to think outside the box, man. No, I mean, I think maybe it's, it's a bit of a cop-out answer, but it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. A little bit of help from Blizzard would go a long way, and maybe players grinding really hard and practicing really hard also goes a long way. It's a little bit of both. You can't just sit there and not play and play like 100 games and just be like, well, I played 100 games this season. Why can't I beat Cyril? You do have to work pretty hard to become a good player. And then, if there's some tools on the other side of the fence that are really, really powerful, that are actually like objectively hard to beat when you are as mechanically gifted as you could possibly be as a human being, then that's different. Then that's the Blizzard side of things. So yeah, a little bit of both is my response.
Cool. All right. Thank you for the question. I Love Oof asks, thoughts on the perennial balance recommendation to let Terran make SCVs from command centers while they are upgrading into orbital commands and planetaries?
If you let my Nexus make probes while I'm making a mothership.
I think no one would have a problem
terrible
with that.
trait. Ravi, stop.
Kev, I'm allowed to voice my opinion, okay? All right? This isn't time for you to voice your opinion when I'm speaking.
Listen,
right? I don't interrupt you and tell you you're wrong.
Roddy thinks the mothership is bad. -400. Am I right? I mean,
well, yes, but that's not the point. The point is like,
no, it's a super unfair trade.
Yes,
but I want it.
It's the worst trade in the history of trade deals, maybe ever. Okay, so let's not just go there.
Look, I made the best deals, tremendous deals. All right. 400, that's a tremendous deal.
I don't know. I think that, it would be a nice change for Terran, yeah, but I don't know. I have to be honest, those Terran economies, they're not as bad as they make it seem like they are. You know, I keep a close eye on that income graph. Those Terrans are not
I
that
think
broke, Dan. I don't know if we need to go there.
Yeah.
people pay attention like very much to the worker count and how Terran's like 15 or 20 workers down on a well, not quite 20. 20 is pretty bad, but like being 10 to 15 workers down against a Protoss who's up a base, and they're like, we're fucked, man. Our economy's no good. I think that if Terran had the same worker count and the same base count as Protoss and had a bigger army, which they almost always do at the beginning of the game, be pretty fucking horrifying for Protoss.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
imagine if they had more workers to pull for their SCV villains.
Right? An extra 15 workers for that SCV pool. But that's the thing, Ravi, is that you would never need to SCV pool because your attack is not an all-in. You could have more production back at home. You could have a bigger army back at home and reinforce.
You literally just pull the extra workers, and now you're just back at where you were before, but you also have 15 workers in your army. That's great.
Well, that's it. You can pull those 15 workers, and then you go back home, and you're okay. Because you got meals. Yeah. It's madness.
Sounds like a great idea. Thank you. Thank you for the question. Last question, guys. Red Gunner Guy asks, what does building a local StarCraft 2 scene mean to you? What would be the definition of success? And how does one then do it? Love the show. Just thinking about what I can do locally where I am. You actually are a good group to ask that of. You know, or yeah. What do you think? How do you build a local scene, and how is that successful?
I mean, like, this is a question where you can give really beautiful answers on, but you also have to be like somewhat realistic, right? If it's not being done in a very populated area, I think you're gonna have a hard time really getting much done. Like, I think in a state like California, obviously you can put some serious work in and make some magic happen. Maybe in a big East Coast city like maybe Boston or New York, but even that's hard.
Yeah.
And in Europe, like you can pick certain things, but I think it is hard. Like, let's say like you live in Illinois, right? Like, what can you really do for the local scene in Illinois? Like, probably not all that much.
Now, the guy asking the question, I happen to know, is from Singapore, so he's probably in a prime location to do this. So maybe that changes your answer.
I mean, I think having like weekly local stuff would be awesome, right? I think if you make it more than just a game, like people often focus on StarCraft that is like all about the competitive and all about the game, but I think the social aspect is just as amazing, if not even better, right? Because I feel most of us that spend a lot of time on StarCraft, it is amazingly fun to spend time with other people who also spend a lot of time on StarCraft. Like, we are all a testament to that. So I think if you can just get something local going, whether it's big or not, like I think it can grow from that point on, where it's more than just competition, but it's social, and then maybe good things can come out of that.
Yeah, I hard agree with that. Sorry, the like the Australian scene is a very close StarCraft scene because of the amount of lands we've had, where they're not really big lands. You know, they're like $1,500 prize pool at best, a crowd of 20 people. But everyone's super close because we've been doing those tournaments for years and years and years. And if there was a tournament that was higher budget that had like a crowd for 300, we would fill it. Like, these people are just they're still sitting there just waiting for the day. And I think like you know, any community tournament, any region, I should say, that's relatively strong in StarCraft 2 is like one that's, for instance, like Epic LAN. All the UK guys are really close. The Dutch StarCraft League, they got the Netherlands, in the Netherlands, they got a close knit scene for Netherlands StarCraft. Obviously, it helps that they have, you know, a few really fucking good players as well that do well internationally. But like, just kind of that kind of thing. Having a local event where the players can always be together. You know you're going to see a certain someone there. You know you're going to meet new people every time you go. You're going to play games. You're going to have that camaraderie. Even if you get eliminated immediately, you're still going to have a tournament to hang out with and cheer on the guy that beat you, or, you know, your favorite player, or that sort of thing. And then when they play in something like a Nation Wars, or they get over to a Pro Tour, Masters event, DreamHack Masters, or whatever, you cheer them on. You make cheerfuls. You make some social media noise. That's how you do it. But yeah, Roddy's absolutely correct. Like, if you live in the middle of nowhere, or you have a town that just doesn't really have anyone for it, it's going to be tough to do. But you know, a busy place, you can absolutely make some noise. And I think social media goes a long way, and lands go a long way.
I think being in a big city absolutely is pretty vital to like have a lot of that stuff. But I think one of the biggest things that I think whenever I see people try and start up a scene in like, or they try and run events, local events in an area, one of the things that I feel like a lot of people just don't do as well is they'll just be like, well, I'll just run an event and people who are interested in StarCraft will show up. Because the reality is, I think StarCraft and just a lot of online games in general have made us really, really lazy. Like 1v1 matchmaking made it so that we don't actually need to socialize anymore to even play games and like
That's
message
true.
people in an online
And
setting.
you know what? I've become the worst, man.
Yeah.
I don't even, people chat to me, I block them. Like, oh,
Yeah.
good luck, have fun, and that's it. Seriously, I'm a nice guy in person. I'm a nice guy to talk to. I like to think I am anyway, but in game, I'm a fucking dick. Like, I don't tell people to go away, but I just don't want to have a conversation. I just want to play. And I think that you're absolutely right. Like that, the modern internet has turned me into that person. I used to chat a lot more back in the day.
In that exact same way, like we are all also used to just being able to do everything from home online, that getting people to show up at an actual live event or a live venue or something, you have to offer them something that they wouldn't normally just be able to get from that same kind of experience of like, I'm just going to play a tournament at home. And not everyone, I think Kev is totally right. Like the social aspect is a lot of that, but you have to find ways to like get people to buy into that, because people don't just like immediately think, oh yeah, I'll go meet a bunch of friends. Because a lot of people, like I used to have a roommate who I would try and talk to in this same way of like, yeah, we're gonna like, go see a bunch of other StarCraft people and like have a good time. But it's just kind of like there's social anxiety. So if you are an outgoing person or something, sometimes it's hard to remember that a lot of people don't really feel like they thrive in those kind of settings. But like you can create those kind of environments and you can incentivize people to go and be like, hey, I live in Rotterdam and I have this get together. I'm going to invite Roddy over. And like, if I can get Roddy to come and find something that justifies his time investment, because he really cares about the local StarCraft scene in this area, or, you know, maybe there's like some other cool thing going on, like make it worth Roddy's while, like, then, hey, now you can get other people to be like, oh, well, the justification is I can go see Roddy or I can go see Sara or some other random cool person. And then also just thinking about like the different types of people. There's going to be people who are like what with Roddy was saying, you run a tournament or something. Cool. That might interest some of the higher level players if there's like an interesting or fun prize. But what about like the other people who think that they're terrible at StarCraft? They're going to be like, oh, I'll just go show up and I'll get trashed. Then I don't really want to talk to people, so I'll just go home. Like, it doesn't sound fun. But if you find other things that you can do, like fun events and stuff, or even just like viewing parties and that kind of thing, like just think of ways that you can bring in different people from that area or like the audience. Because this is a lot of the stuff that I used to think about when I was like in college and I was trying to run StarCraft events, or when I was at Amazon and I was like, how do I like boost the Amazon StarCraft scene and like that ecosystem, which was already actually doing pretty well and everything. And we would do like, oh, let's do a fun event with interns versus full timers, and we did like show matches and I cast them and stuff. So stuff like that. Just try and think of how you can pull people in.
Invite Roddy is what I got from that.
Yes, but also you're probably gonna have to pay him. Just kidding.
When Roddy shows up, it's already a party. Everything else is just magic. It's just icing on top.
It's true.
All right, that's all of our questions. Thank you guys for all the wonderful answers, and thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, and especially our $100 tier supporters: Astrafin, Field of Sins, Jerry Wang, Manard, and Shane. We're trying to find some new ways to reward Patreon supporters. So to the $100 tier, we're going to send you guys some Pylon Show coffee mugs. Just message us on the Patreon with your shipping address info, and we will get those out to you. Of course, you can support us over at patreon.com/The Pylon Show if you don't already. But again, a big thanks to everyone who does. Also, check out thepylonshow.com. That is where you can get all of your Pylon Show needs. Just everything Pylon Show. That's where you should go. And then also, of course, our Matcherino, matcherino.com/The Pylon Show. Use the code CELERY if you like any of the stuff down there. Help yourself. Yeah, we appreciate you guys. We're gonna put up some new goals soon, some new rewards and stuff, and get some more stuff going with the Pylon Show. All right, so that is about it, guys. Thank you so much for coming on through your jet lag, your 4 seconds walking there from your bed. And Roddy, it's the middle of the night, or now it's the morning. You can go and milk your cows.
I actually kind of live in Farmville these days, so you're not totally wrong then.
Why don't you guys let everyone know where they can follow you, check out more of your stuff and all that. Fear Dragon, let's start with you.
Fear Dragon 64 on all social media things, and upcoming for me. I'm making dumb coding videos where I build something and it's usually Starcraft or gaming or computer related. And then I usually torture myself. So go watch those.
They're awesome. I
fun.
have loved every second of those videos I've seen
glad.
so far. We got to talk about that sometime. I'm very excited. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. People check out Fear Dragon. Maynard, how about you?
Twitch TV Maynard, that's where I'm at. I have a Twitter account, Maynard SC2. I use it rarely. It's usually to say when I'm going live or when I'm casting. Those are pretty much the two things I have. So do follow the Twitch. I forgot to mention this, but I actually have a YouTube video on ladder anxiety that I've finished. It's done. I've sent it to Fear Dragon for a review, because I trust his opinion. He's given me some feedback. I'm going to make a few changes, upload it to YouTube, and it should
redo
be up.
the entire video.
Yeah, he basically said that it's trash, scrap it. But you know, it's something that bridges the last video that I put up, which is unfortunately like 7 or 8 months ago, because I really did not look at YouTube as a good idea to spend any time on until recently, where I thought that it'd be a cool idea to have these really, you know, nice videos for StarCraft, something highly produced. So I made another one. It's ready mostly. And it is specifically covering ways to fight back ladder anxiety, because that was like a really hot topic that people really wanted a long time ago, and hopefully still do. So yeah, look forward to that. That'll be up in probably a few hours, something like that. However long it takes to upload it. I have to make some changes. So that's youtube.com/MaynardSC2.
All right. And Roddy, how about you?
Twitch.tv/Rotterdam08. That's where I stream pretty much every single day. I might actually take some days off this month because I'm a bit tired, and I've been playing so bad since I came back from Katowice. Oh, I love casting, but I hate traveling and then like not playing for 10 or 11 days. Playing StarCraft again is almost painful. And other than that, yeah, Instagram.com/Rotterdam08. I post pictures of my brother, his dogs, because he's too obsessed with his baby, so I take care of the puppies. That's pretty much it.
Excellent. And as for me, guys, I have been streaming a lot and doing YouTube a lot. So any support there, following the channel, subs, all that is always appreciated. Check me out. I am streaming a hell of a lot more than I ever have in the past. It's having a fun time with it. So
hey, Dan.
Yeah.
I'll show you something better.
I'll show you my drone.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some moments on my stream. There's no doubt about that.
So good.
Yeah, if you want to watch a guy get really angry at StarCraft, it's the perfect place for you. Yeah, well, that's it. Big thanks to everyone for tuning in and showing up. A big thanks to the everyone who helps out on the Pylon show, of course. I do not make this alone. And that's it. We'll see you next week.
Shout out to the Pylon show, the greatest show on the internet.